Chapter 394. The sound was so loud that Tang Jing immediately recognized it as a gunshot. How could there be a gunshot? He did not have time to think because one of the team members had fallen to the ground and was bleeding profusely. His head was tilted to the side. "We're under attack. Everyone, get down and be careful of the bullets," Tang Jing yelled. In an instant, everyone fell to the ground in a panic. They had just escaped the wolf's den and entered the tiger's den. Most importantly, who else would have a gun in the wilderness other than the archaeological team? Bang, bang, bang. A barrage of bullets came at them like a storm. Many trees were riddled with holes, but Tang Jing did not lie down. Instead, he leaped out like a leopard. Seeing this, Qi Shuowen panicked and shouted, "Tang Jing, where are you going? It's dangerous. Professor Qi, all of you lie down. Don't follow me. I'll take care of these enemies." As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Jing had disappeared without a trace. None of the archaeological team members dared to get up. Someone asked in a daze, "Professor Qi, why is your disciple so powerful?" Tang Jing's face looks familiar. "I think I've seen him somewhere before," someone said suspiciously. In fact, Tang Jing had gained quite a reputation after participating in the Martial Arts Circle Championship. However, that was only for those who cared about the Martial Arts Circle Championship. Many people still did not know much about him. They did not even know who he was, just like these archaeological professionals. "He's the champion of this Martial Arts Circle Championship," Qi Shuowen explained. "Ah, it's him. I was wondering why he looked so familiar. I've seen his picture on the internet before," someone exclaimed. "I heard that he's very good at martial arts. With him around, we'll be much safer." "Is he that good?" someone asked in confusion. Of course he's good. As a result, everyone chattered endlessly about Tang Jing. The bullets had already stopped, but no one got up. No one could predict where a bullet would come from. Tang Jing was like a spirit in the woods. He was as fast as lightning, making it impossible for the enemies to aim at him, let alone hit him. Tang Jing finally discovered the enemy a few hundred meters away. His eyes instantly burned with a raging flame. These people were well armed. At first glance, he could tell that they were not easy to deal with. "Who are you people?" Tang Jing asked angrily. "Kill him. Avenge young Master Long suddenly," someone shouted. Bang, 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 bang. Gunshots rang out, and the bullets shot towards Tang Jing like a tsunami. The place where he stood turned into a mess. But Tang Jing had already disappeared. "Stop. Where is he? He should be dead by now, right?" Everyone was bewildered. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from above. Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and saw Tang Jing descending from the sky. The machete in his hand was suffused with a cold light. Fire. There were no gunshots because Tang Jing was like a cheetah, rushing into the crowd. He would not give anyone a chance to open fire. He had already figured out the other party's identity. These people were actually sent by the Long family. Long Shenyuan must have known that Long Tungyu had died in his hands, so he sent these people to take revenge. He was not afraid of these people, but he was worried about Long Shenyuan. If he was nearby, then he would be in danger. Therefore, he had to cut the Gordian knot. Figures flashed, and people kept falling to the ground. Tang Jing did not show mercy, and killed them all in one blow. After a while, there was only one leader left in the group of more than 10 people. Tang Jing took away the other party's pistol and pointed it at his chest. He asked with a murderous look, "Do you have any accomplices?" "Tang Jing, you can't escape. Dianan is the territory of the Long family, you can't escape. Just wait, the patriarch will come and kill you." "Is that so? You won't see that day." Bang. He pulled the trigger without hesitation and went back the way he came. He found that the archaeological team was still lying on the ground, looking around nervously. When they saw him coming back, they cheered, "Tang Jing, how is it?" "It's okay, everyone get up." Tang Jing walked to the team member who was shot and found that the bullet did not hit the internal organs, but only the shoulder. However, blood was still flowing out. If he was not treated, he would die from excessive blood loss. "The team doctor is with Lu Ming. How can we save him?" Everyone surrounded the injured and did not know what to do. Don't worry, he's fine. Tang Zheng used his true qi to stop the bleeding and used a trace of true qi to protect the other party's heart meridian. The injured person who fainted from the pain finally woke up. Don't move, 2 people come and support him. We have to leave here, Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Unconsciously, his body emitted a majestic aura, which was irresistible. Qi Shuowen asked curiously, who fired the gun just now? Tang Zheng shook his head. I don't know, I've already chased them away. Don't worry. Tang Zheng could not say that he had killed those people, otherwise it would cause panic. Who would come all the way to the 100,000 mountains? Qi Shuowen was filled with suspicion. Maybe it's a drug dealer. Isn't the 100,000 mountains close to the border? I've heard that drug trafficking is rampant here. Maybe a drug dealer accidentally entered the 100,000 mountains. Someone suddenly had an idea. Drug dealer? Everyone was stunned. These people were all bloodthirsty and vicious people. They were not to be trifled with. Let's get out of here, Qi Shuowen said nervously. We don't want to wait for them to come back. That would be troublesome. Tang Zheng, we can only count on you to protect us. Yes, Tang Zheng. You're the champion of the martial arts circle competition. You can protect us, right? Everyone looked at Tang Zheng eagerly. Tang Zheng was as clear as a mirror. It seemed that his identity was exposed. He nodded and said, Don't worry, everyone. I'll do my best. But this mission is dangerous. I think it's best to leave the 100,000 mountains. No, we've already come this far. We can't back out. Besides, we're already lost. It's not that easy to go back. We can only move forward based on our intuition. I've studied it carefully before. I think it's this way. Qi Shuowen pointed in a direction. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. Qi Shuowen was very experienced. The direction he pointed was the direction of the witch tribe. However, they did not give up. Tang Zheng did not mind. After all, the witch tribe was protected by the illusion formation. It was impossible for them to break through it. The group continued to move forward. Tang Zheng walked in front to scout the way. They were already deep in the mountains. There were obviously more ferocious beasts, but they were all defeated by Tang Zheng. When night fell, Tang Zheng even killed a wild boar for everyone's dinner. Everyone set up their tents and rested. Tang Zheng stayed by the campfire. Xiao Bai rested on his shoulder. The night was full of shadows. It was as if there were many ferocious beasts watching their team in the dark. Tang Zheng closed his eyes to rest. He was not affected at all. Suddenly, Qi Shuowen walked to him and sat down. He said slowly, Tang Zheng, you've been in the 100,000 mountains for 2 days. How do you feel? It's okay. The scenery here is different from the city. It's a different experience, Tang Zheng said calmly. Qi Shuowen smiled and said, You think it's easy. But this journey is so dangerous. This is something I didn't expect. To be honest, I don't know if we'll be able to make it out alive. Ah, Professor Qi, don't be so pessimistic. If we can come in, we can definitely get out. Qi Shuowen shook his head and said, Don't be so optimistic. Let me tell you, all the instruments are malfunctioning. I'm just following my gut. I'm not sure if I can find the ancient site. But this is a big discovery in the archaeology world. No matter how difficult it is, I'll try. Tang Zheng could understand Qi Shuowen's feelings. However, this was related to the witch tribe's order. He could not compromise. He could only apologize in his heart. Of course, he would not let these people die here. When the time came, he would bring them out of the 100,000 mountains. Tang Zheng, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse for me to bring you here. You won't blame me, right? Qi Shuowen asked. He felt a little guilty. Tang Zheng said casually, Professor Qi, I should thank you for giving me this opportunity. Why would I blame you? I'm glad you don't blame me. You should rest early. Qi Shuowen stood up. It's okay. I'll rest here tonight in case the beasts come. Thank you for your hard work. The night was uneventful. At dawn, everyone got up and washed up. They knew that according to the plan, They were not far from their destination. As long as they were in the right direction, they would arrive at their destination in a little while. While everyone was washing up, a sudden rush of footsteps came from afar. Everyone's nerves immediately tensed. Someone's coming. Everyone, be careful. Hide. Tang Zheng did not know who was coming and hurriedly shouted. Immediately, everyone looked for a place to hide. They craned their necks and looked in the direction of the footsteps. After a while, a small group of people came over. Ah, it's Lu Ming and the others. The crowd let out a cry of alarm and ran out one after another. The people who came were indeed Lu Ming and the others. However, these people were in a very sorry state and looked exhausted. More importantly, there were only 10 people left in the original team of 30 people. When these people saw Tang Zheng and the others, they all had a look of disbelief. They rushed over and the others quickly went up to help those who were staggering. You're finally here. Where are the others? Why are there only a few of you? Professor Qi supported Lu Ming and asked with concern. Lu Ming's face was a little pale. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he glanced at the crowd and found that the other party was not missing people. He could not help but be surprised. Whoa, the others are all dead. Someone sat on the ground and burst into tears. What, they're all dead? Qi Shuowen was shocked. 20 people had died. That was a great loss. If we didn't find the note you left behind, we wouldn't have been able to walk out. We would all have died there. Someone else said. Lu Ming's expression gradually turned cold. He looked at the crowd and asked, how come none of you are dead? How did you do it? Author's digression. There was a chapter that was not shown because of the website. I'll ask the editor to fix it tomorrow. Chapter 395. What do you mean by that? Is it our fault that we didn't lose any members? Someone retorted in dissatisfaction. Obviously, everyone had a lot of complaints about Lu Ming abandoning his teammates and running away. They were all in the wrong. Hearing this, Lu Ming said, we sacrificed so much to escape, but you are safe and sound. And the two of you, you were clearly poisoned by the miasma at that time and were unconscious. Why are you safe and sound now? You'll only be happy if we die. That's ridiculous. The two men were furious and glared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was unmoved. Anyway, I need an explanation. Explain to your mother. How dare you insult your superior? Do you not want your job anymore? If you don't want it, get out. Lu Ming said arrogantly. It's none of my business. Who do you think you are? What bullsh** T team leader? This is the first time I've seen a team leader who only knows how to run for his life. Besides, your words don't count. Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you're sent here by the higher-ups. Professor Qi is the real expert in archaeology. He's the one who calls the shots here. Lu Ming turned to Qi Shuowen and said, Professor Qi, what do you think we should do with this lawless person? Qi Shuowen was also unhappy with Lu Ming. He said flatly, we sacrificed a lot to get out of that miasma area. No one has the right to tell us what to do. You. Lu Ming was speechless when he saw Qi Shuowen defending the man. Tang Zheng had been watching from the sidelines. Lu Ming was really bureaucratic. He really thought he was a big shot. Lu Ming's chest heaved and he took a few deep breaths to suppress his anger. He said, we found a lot of bodies on our way here. Do you know who did it? Tang Zheng's heart tensed up. It seemed that they had met the group of people from the Long family. Before he could reply, someone had already said, it must be the drug dealers. We were attacked by the drug dealers earlier, and some of them were injured. Luckily Tang Zheng chased them away. Drug dealers. Why are there drug dealers here? Besides, the drug dealers are so powerful. How could they die for no reason? Lu Ming stared at Tang Zheng. What ability does he have to chase away the vicious drug dealers? Don't look down on him. Tang Zheng is the champion of the martial arts conference. Don't you think he's capable? Don't be all talk and no action. Besides, this place is bordered by neighboring countries. It has always been a heavily trafficked area. What's so strange about drug dealers? Tang Zheng's team had been completely united as one. Lu Ming alone wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. The champion of the martial arts tournament. Lu Ming and the others were shocked. Soon after, Lu Ming laughed disdainfully, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. What a joke! You guys were actually fooled by his flowery words. What champion? You're just bragging about yourself. Everyone wanted to explain further, but Tang Zheng stopped them with his eyes and said, "Is there a need to flaunt your tongue here? Don't tell me we're not in a hurry. We've been on the road all night and haven't rested yet." "What's the hurry?" Lu Ming said unhappily. "Then let them rest," Qi Shuowen said. Tang Zheng didn't say anything else. Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, a crisp sound of applause rang out. Everyone was shocked and immediately looked towards the direction of the sound. They saw 3 people walking out of the forest. "You guys continue. The show isn't over yet. Who are you?" Lu Ming immediately stood up and asked arrogantly. Tang Zheng looked at the 3 people. His nerves immediately tensed up. He cursed. How did they find him so quickly? These 3 people were Marshall and the 2 elders. The 3 of them looked rather unfriendly. Marshall arrogantly said, "You don't have the qualifications to talk to me. Get lost." Lu Ming flew into a rage and said, "What did you say? Could it be that you're a drug dealer?" As soon as his voice fell, several soldiers immediately pulled out their guns and aimed at the 3 people. They had already become frightened birds. In this mountain, any unfamiliar face could mean danger. Marshall and the other 2 acted as if they didn't see anything. Marshall disdainfully said, "You think you can show off with just these few fire sticks? Don't move. Otherwise, I'll let you have a taste of the bullets." Lu Ming also had a pistol in his hand. He aimed it at the 3 people. "If you say don't move, then don't move. You can try shooting." Marshall fearlessly walked over. Bang! Lu Ming finally couldn't endure this powerful aura. He pulled the trigger. The bullet whistled out, but Marshall didn't move at all. She didn't dodge, but the bullet flew past her. It didn't hurt her at all. Lu Ming's marksmanship was just too bad. After running out of bullets, Lu Ming was still pulling the trigger. Marshall had already walked in front of him. Seeing this, the other gunman also wanted to pull the trigger. However, a figure flashed and the 4th elder moved. Everyone only felt a blur in front of their eyes as all the guns were taken away by the 4th elder. They were twisted together like fried dough twists. Everyone was dumbstruck. This strength was just too terrifying. What are you doing? Lu Ming's legs trembled. He didn't expect that after escaping from death, he would meet such a group of people with such terrifying strength. "Scram to the side. I'm not in the mood to talk to you," Marshall coldly said. Lu Ming felt as if he had been pardoned. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. His body stiffly moved away. Even his breathing was not smooth. Of course, Marshall had no interest in entangling with this kind of person. Her target was Tang Zheng. Her gaze locked onto Tang Zheng. However, she saw that the other party's expression was normal. She couldn't help but shiver and said, "Tang Zheng, you made us look for you so hard." Tang Zheng said without batting an eyelid, "What do you want to do?" "Of course we want to kill you." The 1st elder strode over and said with a murderous aura, "Kill." Everyone was shocked. They all looked at Tang Zheng. So these 3 people were here for him. Moreover, they wanted to kill him. Qi Shuowen suddenly stepped forward and said, "Do you dare to kill someone in broad daylight? This is a crime. Do you know that?" "Haha, it's a crime. Who dares to say anything when my martial organization does things?" The 1st elder said disdainfully, "If you don't want to die, then scram. The one we want to kill is Tang Zheng. It has nothing to do with anyone else. However, if you are his accomplices, then we don't mind killing you all together." "No, we are not his accomplices. The one you want to deal with is Tang Zheng. It has nothing to do with us. We will leave immediately. We definitely won't delay you," Lu Ming said hurriedly. He was frightened by the other party's actions. If they were not even afraid of guns, then wouldn't it be easy to deal with them? "Shut up. Greedy for life and afraid of death." Qi Shuowen roared angrily. The one they are looking for is Tang Zheng, not us, so why should we accompany him to die? Moreover, I don't think this little brat is a good person, so he deserves to die. Lu Ming indignantly said. What are you talking about? Our lives were saved by Tang Zheng. You have no right to criticize him. Many people said with righteous indignation. You don't want to leave? Then you can die with him. Marshall said calmly. If you don't leave, then I will. I won't die with him. Lu Ming said hurriedly and turned to leave. Tang Zheng, we will fight with them. If they want to kill you, they will have to break my old bones. Qi Shuowen stepped forward bravely and said fearlessly. Looking at everyone's sincere eyes, Tang Zheng smiled and said, Thank you for everyone's good intentions, but this is my personal matter, so there is no need for everyone to get involved. It won't be that easy for these people to kill me. Tang Zheng, they have the advantage in numbers. We will help you. If we work together, I don't believe we can't beat them. Someone suggested. Don't try to persuade me. You have to believe in me. I will find you. Let's go. Tang Zheng persuaded. No, we won't go. If we die together. In that case, there is no need to go. Let's die with him. Suddenly, the fourth elder roared and went deep into the lightning. He directly grabbed the neck of the person next to him. Stop. Tang Zheng shouted to stop him, his body moved, and rushed forward. Everyone hurry up and leave. Believe me, I will definitely not die. Professor Qi, hurry up and take them away, otherwise if you stay here, you will distract me. Bang! Tang Zheng was one step ahead and saved the team member from the fourth elder's hand. The team member's face was pale. You came at the right time. Kid, today is the day you die. The fourth elder shouted disdainfully. He reached out his hand and grabbed Tang Zheng's head with the dragon claw. Tang Zheng did not dodge. He counterattacked with the heaven-gathering hand. The two men separated as soon as they touched each other. However, they quickly fought again. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand. The archaeological team's breathing uncontrollably became hurried. Only now did they understand that Tang Zheng's skills were actually so terrifying. Everyone, let's go. Don't waste any more time. Professor Qi, I beg you. Please take everyone away. Seeing that everyone was still indifferent, Tang Zheng could not help but be extremely anxious, and hurriedly advised. Everyone, let's go. We can't be Tang Zheng's burden. Qi Shuowen hesitated for a moment. After weighing the pros and cons, he said resolutely, Tang Zheng, you have to be careful. It's too late for you to leave now. The first elder suddenly spoke. He blocked the archaeological team's path like a ghost. Elder, these are just ordinary people. There's no need to kill innocent people. Wu advised. The great elder remained unmoved. Being together with Tang Zheng is the same as being a demon. We must catch them all in one go. The first elder charged towards Qi Shuowen. Seeing this, Tang Zheng jumped in fright and shouted, no. However, he was too busy fighting with the fourth elder to save Qi Shuowen. Whoosh! Suddenly, a white shadow slammed into the first elder's stomach like a flash of lightning. The first elder staggered backward and fell on his butt. The archaeological team took the opportunity to retreat. They disappeared into the forest in the blink of an eye. The first elder stood up angrily. He finally saw the culprit, Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai was still baring his teeth at him and squeaking. What the hell is this? The great elder was well aware of the force behind the collision, and he was shocked that it was caused by this little thing. Thus, he couldn't care less about the escaping archaeological team and stared at Little White without blinking. Chapter 396. The great clan elder stared at Xiao Bai for a long time, but he was still unable to determine what kind of animal it was. However, when he saw Xiao Bai baring its teeth at him, the great clan elder's eyes turned cold, and released a biting cold light. The egg was moved to the wrong place. Little bastard, I'll kill you first. The great clan elder's figure flashed, and he rushed towards Xiao Bai. In his eyes, this was an easy task. Suddenly, a white figure flashed, and Xiao Bai disappeared in front of him without any warning. Boom! Flames soared into the sky, and attacked the great clan elder from behind. The great clan elder's heart trembled, and he immediately pounced forward, dodging the calamity in a sorry state. However, the clothes on his back had already been burnt beyond recognition, and were charred black. The great clan elder crawled up in a sorry state, and stared at Xiao Bai in shock, only to see it proudly raising its head and pouting. This? What kind of monster is this? Wu Yi stared at Xiao Bai with his mouth agape, while the fourth elder immediately stopped fighting and looked at Xiao Bai in disbelief. Suddenly, Wu Yi exclaimed, "Could it be a demonic beasts? Demonic beasts?" The two elders turned pale with fright. Although they had always been hunting martial artists, they had never seen a demonic beasts before. Why would Tang Zheng have a demonic beasts accompanying him? The three of them were puzzled. Furthermore, this demonic beasts looked too harmless, completely unlike the ferocious and terrifying demonic beasts in legends. Tang Zheng waved his hand, and Xiao Bai immediately jumped onto his shoulder. Since the archaeological team had already left, he did not care about exposing his strength. He patted Xiao Bai's head, and stared at the enemy without fear. "Brat, we have underestimated you in the past. It seems like you are not a small character. No matter who is behind you, your identity as a cultivator has doomed you to death. Kill." The great clan elder roared, and pulled out the treasured sword he carried with him. "Although you are a cultivator and have a demonic beasts accompanying you, in the end, your cultivation is too weak. Go and die." Shua. The sword light blotted out the sky and was incomparably dazzling. This side of the world was instantly submerged by the sword light. Every blade of grass, every object, and even the air seemed to be on the verge of being torn apart by the sword light. Tang Zheng immediately took out the battle soul sword. With a flash of black light, the battle soul flew out from the sword. Its huge body was like a huge monster as it pounced towards the great elder. Swoosh! The sword light flashed, riddling the war spirit's body with thousands of holes. The war spirit roared incessantly, and the temperature between heaven and earth seemed to drop to the freezing point in an instant. What kind of monster is this? The great elder frowned. Ghosts. Marshall stared blankly at the battle spirit, memories flashing through her mind. Scenes of her intense battle with a ghost general. The dense yin qi on the ghost general's body was extremely similar to the battle spirit's aura, leaving a deep impression on her. Ah! Suddenly, Marshall let out a miserable cry. He hugged his head and squatted on the ground. It was as if something had drilled into his head. It was extremely painful. Scenes flashed through her mind one after another, finally interweaving into a complete memory. It was incomparably clear. "Marshall, what happened to you?" The fourth elder quickly asked with concern. Marshall suddenly raised his head, killing intent bursting out, his gaze locked onto Tang Zheng. He was exceptionally complicated as he muttered to himself, "So it was him. Back then, I went to the ordinary balance for him. He was that cultivator, but I was heavily injured and inexplicably lost that memory." The aura of the battle spirit was no different from the aura of the ghost general, so it triggered the deepest memories in her mind, allowing her to finally recover her memories. However, all of this clearly came too late. Tang Zheng has a great relationship with the martial sect. The sect master once told me that I must bring him back to the martial sect. This time, I must capture him alive. Marshall's expression gradually turned cold. "Marshall, what happened to you just now?" The fourth elder asked. "Fourth elder, I have finally recovered my memories. Tang Zheng is the main culprit who caused me to lose my memories in the ordinary balance," Marshall said. "What, it's him?" The fourth elder flew into a rage. The martial sect had suffered a great loss in the ordinary balance. Moreover, it was inexplicable and they did not find the person behind the scenes. So all of this was caused by Tang Zheng. It was truly a small world. Tang Zheng did not have the heart to pay attention to Marshall because although he had the help of the battle spirit, the great elder of the martial sect was actually a great master. After fighting for a while, Tang Zheng knew that he was not his opponent. "Brat, you are dead for sure. Do you think that with a ghost and a demonic beast, you are my opponent? You are looking down on my martial sect too much," the great elder said angrily. With a slash, Tang Zheng raised the battle spirit to block but was forced back a few steps by the huge force. Before he could stabilize himself, the The great elder's sword was already in front of him. Boom! The battle spirit hurriedly stood in front of Tang Zheng to protect him. One of his arms was immediately cut off and turned into strands of black yin qi. The battle spirit roared non-stop and rushed forward again. Shua shua. With another 2 slashes, the battle spirit's other arm and leg flew up. However, the battle spirit still relied on one leg to stand proudly. It opened its mouth and bit towards the great elder. You don't know the difference between life and death. Then I will let your soul scatter. The great elder also understood the battle spirit's strength. The gap between him and the battle spirit was too large, so he was not afraid. He slashed out again, determined to cut off the battle spirit's head. Tang Zheng was overwhelmed with shock and hurriedly said, "Battle spirit, come back." Su. The battle spirit disappeared and was absorbed by the battle spirit. Tang Zheng waved the battle spirit and used the heaven-flying immortal sword technique to finally block the killing blow. His arm trembled and the battle spirit seemed to fly out of his hand. With a thought, the battle spirit disappeared and was kept in the Sumeru pouch. Haha, brat, your sword technique is very powerful, but your power is too weak. You want to fight with me? Wishful thinking. The great elder said in disdain. Tang Zheng snorted. With a wave of his finger, he finally took out the heaven-shocking bow. The 3 of them were dazzled by Tang Zheng's magical transformation of weapons. Tang Zheng's fingers pulled on the bowstring, and the great elder laughed disdainfully. Haha, a bow without an arrow, do you think it still has any lethality? Tang Zheng did not say anything, he only silently pulled on the bowstring, and the heaven-shocking bow turned into a full moon. Wu suddenly remembered the situation in the valley. This was the divine bow that did not use any arrows. Back then, the demon god had suffered a loss from this divine bow. Great elder, be careful. This is a divine bow. You don't need any arrows to kill enemies. Wu immediately reminded loudly, but Tang Zheng's movements were even faster than her words. Just as she opened her mouth, Tang Zheng had already released his fingers. Wang. The bowstring trembled, and the air was compressed to the extreme. Then, it began to fluctuate violently, as if it was boiling. The great clan elder's face changed, he instantly realized that something was wrong, he immediately roared, held his sword with both hands, and fiercely slashed forward. Boom! With a loud sound, smoke and dust rose in all directions. The great clan elder was completely wrapped up in smoke and dust, making it impossible to see his situation clearly. At this moment, Wu had just finished speaking, and both she and the 4th elder looked at this scene at the same time, dumbstruck. Great clan elder. The 4th elder cried out in alarm and immediately rushed forward. Wu stared at Tang Zheng with her mouth agape. The feeling this arrow gave her was even more terrifying than the arrow in the valley back then, a kind of trembling that came from her soul. She knew very well that she had no way of retaliating against this arrow. Tang Zheng did not have the time to pay attention to him, he turned around and ran. Turning into a bolt of lightning, he rushed into the forest. Brat, don't run. A thunderous roar sounded out, the smoke and dust dissipated, and the great clan elder's figure appeared once again. However, at this moment, he was in a sorry state, his clothes were tattered, his face and body were covered in dust, there was a large pit under his feet, and the treasured sword in his hand had been broken into 2. Great clan elder, are you all right? The 4th elder asked anxiously. I won't die. Chase, I must catch up to that brat. I will tear him into 10,000 pieces. The great clan elder jumped out of the pit, looked at the treasured sword in his hand with a pained expression, and chased after him. The 4th elder and Marshal also quickly chased after him. A moment later, 4 people appeared beside the big pit. It was the demon god, Louis, Wales, and Sawada Ichiro. The demon god observed the big pit for a while and said, Tang Zheng was here just now. It seems like an intense battle just happened. Who is the other side? Sawada Ichiro asked curiously. People from the martial sect. Louis laughed unfathomably. As far as I know, the people from the martial sect have already entered the 10,000 huge mountains. Martial sect, this time we'll make sure they don't return. The demon god said with killing intent. Let's go and catch up to them. Tang Zheng sprinted, and the trees on both sides quickly disappeared behind him. Although he did not hear any movements behind him, there was no doubt that the martial sect's pursuers were not far behind him. Lord Envoy. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out from the side. It was Yi Yuan and a few Witch Clan clansmen. Lord Envoy, we've finally found you. Why are you here? Tang Jing stopped in his tracks. Lord Envoy, ever since you fell into the miasma, we lost track of you and have been searching for you. The heavens have opened their eyes and finally allowed us to find you. Yi Yuan said excitedly. I'm fine. It's not good to stay here for long. Hurry up and leave. Tang Jing said. Lord Envoy, is there an enemy? Yi Yuan immediately saw through the clues and asked. Yes, a very powerful enemy. Brat, let's see where you can run to. A furious roar suddenly sounded out. A figure flashed, and the three people from the martial sect quickly caught up. Tang Jing sighed regretfully. The people from the martial sect were really powerful. He had only delayed for a while, but the other party had already caught up. The key was that the people from the Witch Clan had also been exposed. Seeing the Witch Clan, the three of them stopped in their tracks and looked at them in disbelief. They asked, who are these people? Cultivator. Wu Wu cried out in alarm. So many cultivators. The two elders were very surprised. They had been hunting cultivators all day, and the number of cultivators they had seen had decreased over the years. They never thought that so many would suddenly appear. The two elders' eyes glowed red, as if they were hunters who had seen their prey. They said excitedly, the heavens are helping me. Today, I will catch them all in one fell swoop. Chapter 397. Yi Yuan looked at the three of them curiously and asked, Lord Envoy, who are these people? Someone from the martial sect. Egg TT is wrong. Martial sect. Yi Yuan already knew what the martial sect was doing, and could not help but fly into a rage. Are they the ones who hunted us cultivators? Lord Envoy, we cannot let them leave. Lord Envoy. The three of them looked at Tang Zheng in astonishment, wondering what kind of position this so-called Lord Envoy had, but seeing the other party protecting Tang Zheng so much, it meant that his identity was not simple. The three of them were not afraid. Instead, it was as if they had discovered a new continent. They thought that they had dug out Tang Zheng's background. The harvest from this trip to southern Yunnan is really too great. I suspect that they have an organization and must be uprooted. The great elder said with killing intent. Arrogant, you still dare to be so arrogant in the 10,000 huge mountains. Yi Yuan was furious, and before he finished speaking, he rushed out like a cannonball. Boom! The great clan elder retaliated, causing Yi Yuan's skin to glow with a golden light. He quickly retreated, broke a tree trunk, and stopped. So powerful. Yi Yuan stared at his fist and said in surprise. "Mph, you overestimate yourself. Let's see how you guys escape this time. Kill, don't use your hands, show mercy." With the great clan elder's order, the fourth elder and martial elder attacked at the same time. Charge! Yi Yuan roared, and rushed forward with the other clansmen. Tang Jing secretly sighed. This time, there was no chance for him to escape, so he unceremoniously joined the battle. Without a doubt, the average fighting strength of the three martial sects was definitely higher than that of the Witch Clan-s, but there were more than 10 Witch Clan-s, so they had the advantage in numbers. Furthermore, they lived in the forest all year round, so their use of the terrain and environment could be said to be perfect. In addition, after the witch tribesmen learned the chaotic golden body technique, their skin was rough and their flesh was thick, and their resistance to attacks soared. When the fourth elder's weapon struck Yi Yuan's body, sparks actually exploded, leaving behind marks, but it did not penetrate his skin. Xiao Bai also jumped down from Tang Jing's shoulder and shuttled through the crowd. Every time he saw an opportunity, he would unrestrainedly spit out fire, often catching Wu and the fourth elder off guard. Especially the fourth elder, whose beard and eyebrows were all burned bald by the fire, making him look extremely comical. Tang Zheng had previously used the heaven-shocking bow to cause the great clan elder to suffer a loss, but now, the great clan elder already knew how powerful the heaven-shocking bow was, so every time Tang Zheng pulled the bowstring, he would always be able to cleverly dodge it, causing Tang Zheng to be rather impatient. The two sides were in a stalemate for a while. Then, a scream of agony rang out. One of the sorcerer tribesmen finally took a hit and fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. Seeing that, Tang Zheng shouted out loud, but he was powerless to do anything. He was entangled by the great clan elder and had no time to do anything. Ha ha, Tang Zheng, I want you to watch them die one by one. The great clan elder laughed sinisterly. Screams rang out one after another. After a long time, the witch tribesmen's decline began to show. Although they had the advantage in numbers, the other party was a true expert. The difference between the two sides was not something that could be made up for by numbers. Tang Zheng's eyes were about to spit fire. Seeing that another person was about to be hit, he suddenly turned around and rushed towards that person. Whiz! An invisible arrow shot out and finally saved that person first. However, the great clan elder's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast, slapping his back with his palm. Bang! Tang Zheng spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. While he was in the air, he aimed at Wu and pounced towards her. While Wu was fighting with Yi Yuan, she suddenly felt a gust of wind above her head. Before she could even raise her head to look, she realized that her throat had been grabbed by someone. Stop! Tang Zheng did not care about the burning pain on his back, as if his spine was about to break, and shouted loudly. Everyone stopped at the same time. The two elders were shocked. They never thought that Tang Zheng had an ulterior motive. His rescue of the witch tribesman was just a feint. His goal was to capture Wu, and he had succeeded. If you attack again, I'll kill her, Tang Zheng said with killing intent. No. The great clan elder hurriedly stopped her. Wu was the sect master's disciple. If she died, the sect master would blame them and they would not be able to bear the consequences. If you don't want her to, then obediently retreat. Brat, you won't be able to escape. Chumph, is that so? At most, we'll just fight to the death, but she won't be able to live either, Tang Zheng said fearlessly. The two elders looked at each other in dismay and could only retreat. Tang Zheng, if you kill me, you will never know the secret of that jade pendant. However, if you follow me back to the martial sect, you will be able to get the answer you want. Wu said calmly. Follow you back to the martial sect? Isn't that walking right into a trap? Don't you want to know the secret of that jade pendant? Tang Zheng was silent. His feelings towards the jade pendant that was related to his background were very complicated. He wanted to know the secret behind it, but he was also afraid to know. He was afraid that his background was related to the martial sect. Now that he was a cultivator, he was the enemy of the martial sect. If his background was related to the martial sect, then he would be the one in the cracks. He didn't know what to do. Follow me back to the martial sect. I can guarantee your safety, Wu advised in a low voice. Seeing the two of them muttering to each other, the great clan elder said worriedly, Brat, if you dare to harm a single hair on his head, I can guarantee that all of you will be buried with him. Tang Zheng coldly snorted, he was unmoved, and said to Yi Yuan, lead your clansmen and leave first, I will cover the rear. Lord Envoy, you absolutely can't. Yi Yuan shouted. This is an order. Are you going to disobey my orders? Tang Zheng said with a gloomy face. I don't dare. Yi Yuan lowered his head, had people help the injured clansman up, and retreated step by step towards the direction of the witch tribe. Ha ha, such an intense battle. Fortunately, we haven't arrived too late. It's a good show. Suddenly, a strange laughter sounded out, and a group of people walked out from the dark forest. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and their pupils could not help but shrink. Tang Zheng was greatly shocked. The archaeological team was among them, but the archaeological team had become captives. Qi Shoan still had a katana on his neck, and the people who kidnapped them were actually the demon gods group. The demon god clapped his hands and said, This time, all of you have gathered together. You can save me the trouble of looking for all of you. Demon god. Wu Ji stared at the other party and exclaimed. The two elders widened their eyes and glared at him, saying, You are the demon god. Ha ha, the two great elders of the martial sect, right? Didn't you want to find cultivators? With so many cultivators in front of you today, let's see how you can kill your way here. The demon god jokingly said, Tang Zheng, kill the woman in your hands first, then surrender. Otherwise, I will deal with your companions first. Tang Zheng, don't listen to him. Hurry up and run. Qi Shuowen shouted with all the strength in his body. Haha, how touching. If you dare to run, try and see if this sharp blade can cut his throat. Woo woo, demon god, I have no grievances with you. Hurry up and let us go. The person you want to kill is Tang Zheng, not me. I have nothing to do with him. Lu Ming suddenly burst into tears. This archaeological expedition had been full of twists and turns. If he had known this would happen, he would not have come even if he was beaten to death. Haha, so afraid of death. If you don't want to die, then tell Tang Zheng to surrender. Otherwise, you will die without a doubt. The demon god laughed. Lu Ming said with a long face, Tang Zheng, I have no grievances with you. Why do you want to harm me? I knew I shouldn't have let you join the archaeological team. This time, everyone is dead because of you. Are you satisfied? Shut up, Lu Ming. You are such a coward. It is a disgrace to be associated with you. Qi Shuowen shouted angrily. Professor Qi, it's your business if you want to be buried with him. I don't want to die, and neither do the rest of us. Besides, this has nothing to do with us. We're here for archaeology. We're here to find the 4 stone statues. Lu Ming rattled on. He was afraid of the demon god and the others, but he was not afraid of Tang Zheng and Qi Shuowen. Stone statues? You are here to find the stone statues? Suddenly, the demon god interrupted Lu Ming's chatter. Yes, we are here to find the stone statues. I have photos here. They are in my bag. Then, he quickly took off his bag and took out a few photos. These photos were taken by a satellite in outer space. The 4 stone statues were clearer than the rest. The devil god's eyes went wide, and he couldn't look away. Eventually, he laughed maniacally and said, ha ha ha, the heavens are helping me. The 4 manifestations paragon, who has disappeared for countless years, is actually in the 100,000 mountains. The venerable 4 symbols. Everyone was shocked, especially Tang Zheng and the people of the witch tribe. They only knew that the 4 stone statues were the guardians of the witch tribe, but they did not know their real names. As long as I have the venerable 4 symbols, no one in this world can be my opponent. What martial arts grandmaster? They are all useless. The demon god said solemnly. Where exactly are the venerable 4 symbols? The demon god asked anxiously. I don't know, but they are in the Shiwen Mountains. Haha, you are still useful. You actually told me such useful information. The demon god patted Lu Ming's shoulder and praised him. Lu Ming's face immediately bloomed into a smile. He said flatteringly, then, Lord Demon God, can you let me go? I will let you die a quick death. The demon god said with a smile. Lu Ming's face turned pale as if he had lost his parents. Tang Zheng, have you thought about it? After dealing with you, I still need to find the venerable 4 symbols. Don't waste my time. The demon god said impatiently. All right, let them go. I'll give up resisting. Tang Zheng released Wu and did not kill her. Wu and the demon god were enemies, so of course he would not help the demon god get rid of an enemy. Lord Envoy, you absolutely can't. The witch tribesmen who had already retreated a distance rushed forward again without a care for their own safety and advised in panic. Lord Envoy? When did he become the Lord Envoy? Who are these people? The demon god stared at the witch tribesmen. They're all cultivators. Brat, who are these people? We are the servants of the Lord Envoy. If you want to kill him, kill us first. Yi Yuan stepped forward and said angrily. Haha, this way it will be even more interesting. Tang Zheng, not only do you have to surrender, even your servants have to surrender. There is actually a group of cultivators in this Shiwen Mountains. There must be a huge secret behind this. It really is not a wasted trip. Hurry up, I don't have the patience. Surrender immediately, or else I will kill them all. Don't kill them, I'll just do it. Tang Zheng was in a dilemma. If he did not surrender, the other party's people would die. If he surrendered, then his and the witch tribesmen's lives would be in danger. Chapter 398. Seeing that Tang Zheng was about to be captured, everyone was extremely anxious. especially Qi Shuowen, who kept shouting loudly in an attempt to stop it. The sorcerer tribesman also tried to persuade him, but to no avail. Please copy this address into your browser to see the first page. Tang Zheng walked towards the demon god step by step, and the demon god revealed a smug smile. Hiss! A strange sound rang out without warning. The vines on the ground began to move, and like pythons, they quickly wrapped themselves around the legs of the demonic god and the other three. Ah, what's going on? The demon god cried out in alarm. Just as he finished speaking, the vines had already wrapped him up like a big dumpling. Run! Suddenly, Tang Zheng came back to his senses and reminded him loudly. Although he didn't know what was going on, how could he miss such a rare opportunity? Thus, he leaped into the air and saved Qi Shuowen. Then, he quickly retreated. The others also quickly broke free from the control and ran far away. No one knew what was going on, but it was obvious that the four of them had been ambushed, giving the archaeological team a chance to survive. Who is it? With a loud roar, the vines on the demon god's body were blown to pieces, and they quickly retreated in all directions. Kai, the demonic god's body, emitted a bright red mist of blood, looking extremely ferocious. Who is sneak attacking me? The blood-red eyes swept over, but did not find the culprit. You don't want to show yourself, huh? Then I'll force you to show yourself. The demon god waved his hand, and the blood blade appeared in his hand. He swung it through the air. Whoosh! Whoosh! Streaks of blood-red light shot out from the blood blade and spread in all directions. Get down! Tang Zheng turned pale with fright and shouted. Everyone subconsciously fell to the ground. The sky full of blood flew past everyone's scalps. Rumble! With a series of earth-shattering sounds, the towering trees in all directions were snapped in half and collapsed with a loud rumble. The vines even fled in all directions, letting go of Louis and the other two. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. If they were hit by this bloody light, they would be cut in half at the waist. You've finally shown yourself. The demon god laughed sinisterly. After the tree fell, the people hiding behind it were revealed. It was not just one person, but dozens of people from the sorcerer tribe. The leader was the sorcerer tribe elder. The elder of the Magus race held a scepter in his hand and appeared rather dignified. However, he was also shocked by the means of the fiend celestial. Who are you people? His attire is similar to that of those people. Could he also be Tang Zheng's servant? The demon god looked at the other party in surprise. The others also looked at the group of shamans at the same time. No one had expected that there would be so many people living in seclusion in the 100,000 mountains. Who are you? How dare you threaten the great envoy? The elder of the sorcerer tribe shouted. Ha ha ha, another group of people has come to die. This is really interesting. Tang Zheng, I'm not going to kill you so quickly. I didn't expect you to be such a big fish with so many secrets on you. The demon deity laughed savagely. Everyone looked at Tang Zheng at the same time, especially the three people from the martial sect. They gradually realized that they had underestimated Tang Zheng. The elder of the witch clan led the witch clan and strode towards Tang Zheng, and said, Lord Envoy, with us here, we will definitely not let anyone harm you. Tang Zheng rejoiced. Fortunately, the elder of the witch clan had made a move, otherwise, he would have been captured without a fight. Chimph, how interesting. However, before we make a move, I am more interested in your identities. Who exactly are you? We are from the witch clan. The elder said indignantly. Witch clan? Ancient witch clan? The demon god's eyes widened, and then he started laughing maniacally. This matter is getting more and more interesting. Didn't the rumors say that the witch clan has already been exterminated? How could they still exist in this world? Nonsense, how could my witch clan be exterminated? The elder reprimanded sternly. Legend has it that the witch clan was the most valiant tribe in the ancient times, following Kai Yu everywhere to fight. In the end, Kai Yu was defeated, and the witch clan was also exterminated. It seems that all of this was deliberately set up by someone, allowing the real witch clan to survive. The demon god praised. You know the origin of the witch clan? The elder and Tang Zheng were both shocked. The elder himself only knew a little about the origin of the witch clan, because it was too long ago, and Tian Chanzi did not know the origin of the witch clan at all, but he did not expect the demon god to know so many secrets. Haha, of course I know. This involves the origin of the demon clan, and is a secret that I accidentally found out back then. Normal people would not know about it. The demon god said complacently. However, speaking of which, the demon clan and the witch clan have a deep relationship, yet you all are on the same side as Tang Zheng, and even recognize him as the Lord Envoy. What a joke! Do you know that this brat is the enemy of the demon clan, which is also the enemy of the witch clan? Nonsense. You are not allowed to slander the Lord Envoy. The witch clan elder reprimanded loudly. You old man, I think you are really old and confused. Then I will be merciful today and let you understand the reason. Do you know where his 9 Li tribe went after Kai Yu was defeated? The witch clan elder subconsciously shook his head. The others also stared at the demon god attentively. This kind of secret was not something that ordinary people could know. Kai Yu's 9 Li tribe was chased down and fled. In the end, a portion of them survived. After countless years of evolution, this portion of people became a new clanned demon clan. What? The demon clan is actually the 9 Li tribe after Kai Yu was defeated? Everyone was shocked. In fact, everyone had heard of the great battle of Kai Yu in the ancient times. However, that era was too long ago, so everyone treated it as a legend. They did not expect it to be true. According to legend, Kai Yu was the chief of the 9 Li tribe in the ancient times. He was brave and good at fighting, and was an unparalleled king who defeated the equally powerful Yang Di tribe. After the Yang Di was defeated, he formed an alliance with the Yellow Emperor and started a great battle with Kai Yu. This was the famous Battle of Zhuolu. In the Battle of Zhuolu, Kai Yu was defeated and died, while his 9 Li tribe's whereabouts were unknown. As for the witch clan, which was the most brave and good at fighting, it was said that they were completely annihilated in the Battle of Zhuolu. As for the defeated people of the 9 Li tribe, they fled in all directions. A portion of them were absorbed by the Yellow Emperor's tribe, while a portion of them were still missing. No one would have thought that the infamous demon clan was actually evolved from the 9 Li tribe. In that case, the demon clan and the witch clan did have some connections. The witch clan is treating Tang Zheng as their master. This is simply deceiving their master and destroying their ancestors. Now is the best time for you to wake up and come under my command. I am magnanimous and will definitely let bygones be bygones. The demon god said righteously. The elder was a little confused. He treated Tang Zheng as his master because he respected the rules and legends of the witch clan. How did it become deceiving his master and destroying his ancestors? The other witch clan members were also shocked. They looked at the elder with complicated expressions, waiting for his answer. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. Regardless of whether the demon god was telling the truth or not, he could not allow him to shake the morale of the army. Thus, he immediately retorted, "Demon god, I didn't expect you to be so eloquent. I think you might as well change your profession and become an actor. Regardless of whether what you said is true or false, there is one thing that I can be sure of. Kai Yu was a great hero of the ancient times. Although he was defeated, he was still respected by others. He was not like you demons, who were cruel and unreasonable in nature. You were like rats that everyone wanted to beat up. If Kai Yu knew in the underworld that his descendants had become like you, I think he would be so angry that he would crawl out of the ground and kill all of you unfilial descendants." Tang Zheng's rebuttal was powerful and many people secretly nodded. Although Kai Yu was defeated, he was still a great hero. He was definitely not a notorious person like the demon clan. Tang Zheng's words immediately poked at the demon god's sore spot. He immediately jumped up and retorted, "You are the one who is spouting nonsense. Back then, our demon clan's ancestors were chased like stray dogs, and were almost killed. Of course we have to take revenge, and kill all of you so-called righteous people. Ha ha, demon god, don't quibble. No matter how righteous you are, what you have done is seen by the world. Even if the Zhou tribe upheld justice, in the end, it was all ruined by you disciples. You still have the face to mention your ancestors. I think you are bringing shame to your ancestors." Tang Zheng was eloquent. How could the demon god be his opponent? When the elder of the sorcerer tribe heard this, he was shocked. He raised his head and said with bright eyes, "What the great envoy said is right. You demons are the ones who betray your masters and ancestors. Everyone has the right to punish you. Everyone has the right to kill you." The members of the witch clan were agitated and shouted one after another. The demon god was so angry that his face turned ashen. He said ferociously, "A bunch of stubborn people. Since that's the case, I will put righteousness before family and uproot your witch clan. From now on, you will truly disappear from this world. Also, the 4 symbols honored warriors are in the hands of your witch clan, right?" No wonder the 4 symbols honored warriors disappeared without a trace. They were taken away by your witch clan. Today, not only will I destroy your witch clan, but I will also take the 4 symbols honored warriors away. The 4 symbols honored warriors are the guardians of our witch clan. They are not something you can meddle with. The elder of the witch clan roared in anger. "Guardians? Haha, from now on, the 4 symbols honored warriors are no longer the guardians of your witch clan. They will be used by me to expand my territory." The demon god's eyes shone and he was extremely excited. When the members of the archaeological team heard this, they all looked at Tang Zheng, especially Qi Shuowen. Obviously, they had already determined that Tang Zheng had known about the stone statue, but he had deliberately concealed it from everyone. "Tang Zheng, you make it sound so nice, but from the start you were lying to us. Everyone, look at his face." Lu Ming, who had been silent the entire time, seemed to have grabbed onto a straw of straw as he excitedly shouted. Qi Shaowen's eyes showed a trace of regret. He was obviously heartbroken by Tang Zheng's deception. The others also looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. They wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Tang Zheng was not in the mood to care about what they thought because the most important thing now was to escape. Even with the help of the witch clan, it would not be easy to escape unscathed. He quickly gave the elder of the witch clan a look. The elder quickly asked in a low voice, "Lord Messenger, what's wrong?" Chapter 399. Tang Zheng thought of a plan, and said in a low voice, "Elder, bring your men back to the tribe, I will hold them back. Please copy this address to your browser to see the first page." "How can that be? Lord Envoy, aren't you in danger?" The witch clan elder firmly rejected. "You don't have to worry, I will find a way to escape. Also, take the archaeological team away, but don't let them enter the tribe." Tang Zheng warned. "This is an order." The witch clan elder hesitated for a moment, then said, "Yes, Lord Envoy. What are you two muttering about? Could it be that you're thinking of a way to escape?" "Haha, do you think there's still a way to escape?" the demon god said arrogantly. Tang Zheng snorted, he did not comment, then looked at the 3 people from martial sect and said, "The 3 of you, I want to make a deal with you." The 3 of them who had been silent all this time asked curiously, "What deal?" "The demon god wants the entire demon clan to descend into this world, even at the cost of tens of thousands of lives. Is your martial sect going to turn a blind eye to it?" Tang Zheng asked. "Ridiculous, how can we turn a blind eye to it? He's delusional to want the demon clan to descend." The great clan elder retorted righteously. "You are completely wrong on this point. If the demon god kills everyone here, who else would know that he is planning something big today? So the most important thing right now is for us to work together to deal with him." This was Tang Zheng's plan. Although he was also a cultivator, he was not on the same path as the demon god. Compared to the martial sect, he felt that the demon god was a greater threat. "Temph, how can we, the dignified martial sect, form an alliance with you?" The great clan elder rejected without hesitation. Stubborn. Tang Zheng rolled his eyes. "Haha, brat, so that's what you're thinking. He doesn't appreciate your kindness, I think you're wasting your energy, so I'll capture you first." Seeing that, the demon god laughed wildly. Whiz. The demon god turned into a ray of red light and arrived in a flash. Tang Zheng shouted loudly, "Quickly leave." Then, he rushed forward without a care for his own safety. Boom. The heaven-shocking bow shot out an arrow, barely blocking the demon god's attack. The demon god shouted, "Kill them all. Louis, Wales, and Sawada Ichiro were like tigers that had been released from their cages. They quickly charged towards the witch tribe and the archaeological team. The archaeological team did not have much fighting power and they screamed in fear. Seeing this, the elder of the sorcerer tribe shouted, "Protect them." The members of the sorcerer tribe quickly rushed forward to help. The sorcerer tribe elder waved his scepter and the vines on the ground quickly moved, entangling the three people. The three of them had learned their lesson and knew how powerful the vines were, so they all avoided them. "Take them away." The elders of the sorcerer tribe ordered loudly. The sorcerer tribesmen quickly hugged a member of the archaeological team, and some of them even carried him on their shoulders. The sorcerer tribe was born with great strength, and a person's weight was a piece of cake to them. Thus, a funny scene appeared. One by one, the sorcerer tribesmen carried or hugged the panicked archaeologists as if they were snatching a bride. They quickly retreated into the forest. "Trash, you can't even kill these small fries," the demon god reprimanded in anger. Louis's eyes flashed with a cold light. He suddenly increased his speed, unbelievably fast, and in the blink of an eye, he had caught up to a sorcerer tribesman. Boom! He threw out a punch and directly hit the man's back. The man staggered and fell to the ground, while the archaeological team member on his shoulder screamed and fell to the ground. Puff! The screams came to an abrupt end, because Louis had already soared into the air and punched the archaeological team member in the neck. Catcher! The man died immediately. Before Louis landed on the ground, he pounced towards the witch tribesmen who were lying on the ground. "Stop!" Louis rushed up and exchanged a punch with him. Yi Yuan staggered backwards, while Louis only stopped after breaking a big tree. "Hey, you have so much strength. Then I'll test how powerful you are." Louis's legs tapped on the tree trunk, and he rushed up again. Yi Yuan had already helped his clansman up, telling him to quickly escape, and then roared as he went forward to welcome him. Not only did Yi Yuan have the power of a god, his cultivation was also not bad, but Louis's speed was faster than his, and his whereabouts were also strange. The two of them fought for more than 10 moves, and in the end, Yi Yuan was actually struggling. The so-called witch tribe is nothing more than this. It's an exaggeration, Louis said in disdain, and attacked again. This time, it was not a fist, but a claw, and a strange black light appeared on his fingernails. Puff! Yi Yuan's skin was actually scratched open. One must know that he had cultivated the chaotic golden body technique, so normal blades and swords would not be able to harm him in the slightest. However, he was actually scratched by Louis's fingernails. Yi Yuan's heart trembled. He finally knew that something was wrong. The other party had purposely hidden his strength. It was definitely not as simple as it looked on the surface. Yi Yuan became cautious, but he did not take half a step back. His clansmen had already led the archaeological team away, leaving only a few witch clan people to defend against the enemy's attacks. This chaotic battle caused the gazes of the people from the martial sect to change. The great clan elder did not say a word and watched coldly from the side, muttering, "Let them kill each other, and in the end, we will benefit from it." Wu looked at Tang Jing with a complicated expression. With the help of the heaven-shocking bow and Xiao Bai, he did not immediately fall into a disadvantageous position, but without a doubt, he was still not a match for the demon god, and could lose his life at any time. Although Tang Zheng is a cultivator, he has a huge relationship with the martial sect. I definitely cannot let him die like this, or else I won't be able to return and report to the sect master. Wu thought in his heart, his expression gradually becoming resolute, and said, "Two elders, I feel that Tang Zheng's suggestion just now was not bad. This demon god is a top expert. If we let him kill Tang Zheng, then the demon god will have more energy to deal with us, and at that time, it won't be us who kills him, but him who kills us." "Nonsense, how could he possibly kill us?" The fourth elder retorted unhappily. "Fourth elder, I am not exaggerating. Cultivators are all cunning people. They always have many schemes, and I have fought with the demon god before, so I am even more clear about his strength. To be honest, the two elders are really not his match, and only by temporarily joining hands with Tang Zheng will we be able to kill him." Wu did not budge an inch as he earnestly advised. The great clan elder's expression kept changing as he stared at the demon god, watching him use one move after another. In the end, he nodded his head and said, What Wu said is right, Tang Zheng is just an insignificant character, killing the demon god is the most important thing. Fourth brother, let's attack together. Seeing that the great clan elder had made up his mind, the fourth elder had no choice but to agree. Thus, the two of them joined the battle between Tang Zheng and the demon god like angry dragons entering the sea. Wu heaved a sigh of relief. After persuading the two elders, Tang Zheng's life was temporarily saved. He glanced at Yi Yuan, who was gradually unable to hold on, and rushed forward in a flash. Louis felt a gust of wind behind him, and immediately turned around to face him. Yi Yuan heaved a sigh of relief, and used all his strength to entangle Louis. Wales and Sawada Ichiro were entangled by the Witch Clan elders and a few Witch Clan members. The two of them were obviously weaker. Suddenly, Wales was entangled by the vines, and his neck was tightly strangled. With a catcher, his neck was actually broken, and he fell to the ground weakly. Seeing that, Sawada Ichiro was so scared that he ran away in a sorry state. A Witch Clan member quickly pounced forward, wanting to get rid of Sawada Ichiro as well, but just as he passed by Wales, he was grabbed by a hand without any warning. Then, he felt a pain in his neck as he was bitten by a mouth, and his blood was quickly absorbed. Haha, the blood of the Witch Clan is indeed delicious. Today, I will have to enjoy this delicious meal. Wales' voice rang out again. His neck was broken, but he did not die. Furthermore, he had returned to normal and even sucked the blood of the Witch Clan members dry. Wales' appearance had undergone a huge change. A pair of pitch-black wings had actually grown out from his back. His skin was even paler, and his fingers had also grown longer, like sharp blades. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected scene. They looked at the transformed Wales in disbelief. No one thought that he would come back from the dead. The Witch Clan elder looked at the tragic death of his clansman and was furious. He waved his scepter and rushed over, shouting, "Kill!" Wales soared into the sky, flapped his wings and flew up. The Witch Clan elder pounced on nothing, then Wales swooped down and swept his sharp claws towards the Witch Clan elder's neck. Boom! Suddenly, a vine shot out from the scepter. It was like a whip, dancing in the air and blocking Wales. Tang Zheng was shocked when he saw this scene. He had always treated Wales as an insignificant character, but he did not expect that he could come back from the dead. It was too heaven-defying. He subconsciously thought of the werewolf. This Wales was stronger than the werewolf, and he had the ability to fly, which made him even more difficult to deal with. He immediately looked at Louis. He was Wales' master, so what kind of monster was he? What kind of ability did he have? Tang Zheng gradually realized that everything was more complicated than he had imagined. No wonder the Rockefeller clan had such great ambitions. With such a mysterious force, it was indeed a huge advantage for ordinary people. Another monster has appeared. How can there be so many monsters in this world? The great elder glanced at Wales, unable to restrain his anger. Tang Zheng was locked in battle with the demon god, so he had no time to deal with Wales. He said to Xiao Bai on his shoulder, "Xiao Bai, go and deal with this guy. Since he likes to be a birdman, then roast him. Let's see if he can come back to life." Xiao Bai squeaked and rushed over like a bolt of white lightning. It just so happened to land beside the Witch Clan elder's feet. It opened its little mouth and a ball of red flame slowly brewed in its little mouth. Wales swooped down like a cannonball and aimed at the Witch Clan elder. The pungent smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. Boom! Suddenly, a ball of flame rose from the ground. Xiao Bai finally spat out fire. The flames soared into the sky and covered half of the sky in an instant. Wales was the first to be caught and was immediately enveloped by the flames. Chapter 400. Wales immediately turned into a ball of flames, screaming as he fell from the sky, rolling and screaming on the ground, which was extremely terrifying. Please copy this address to your browser to see the first page. Xiao Bai, good job. Tang Zheng praised loudly. The demon god's eyes lit up. What kind of divine beast is this? Kid, I didn't expect you to have so many treasures around you. Hehe, this time I really got lucky. The screams came to an abrupt end, and Wales also stopped screaming, but the flames did not extinguish. Instead, they continued to crackle and burn, and in the end, Whales turned into ashes before the flames disappeared. Let's see how you'll come back to life. The witch clan elder vented his anger. All of you must die. Louis was entangled with Yi Yuan and Wu, so he had no time to save them. Seeing that Whales was really dead, his eyes gradually turned blood red, and a black aura surged out from his entire body. With a scream, he also transformed, and wings grew out from his body, and his fingernails became as sharp as blades. What kind of monster is this? Tang Zheng cried out in shock. Blood Clan, they are immortal vampires. Wu said loudly. When the werewolf appeared, they followed the clues and started an investigation. Although they did not gain much, they still found some information. The Western Empire had a long legend, and the main characters in it were the Blood Clan and the werewolf. It was said that these two clans were mortal enemies and had been fighting for countless years. However, with the evolution of history, these two clans disappeared without a trace, and it was said that they had been exterminated. But who would have thought that these two races actually still existed, and even formed an alliance in secret? Seeing Louis transform, Wu immediately realized that the Rockefeller family was the inheritance of the immortal vampires. It was just that they were hidden in the city, and no one had discovered them. What is the immortal vampires? Tang Zheng was shocked, and asked curiously. Legend has it that the immortal vampires have an immortal body, and can even come back to life. They can transform into flying bats, and are very cunning and powerful. Wu said briefly. Immortal body? Mph, I think it's just an exaggeration. That Wales was still burned to ashes by Xiao Bai. Tang Zheng said disdainfully. Lord Envoy is right, these monsters are not worth mentioning. The witch tribe elder said passionately, then rushed towards Sawada Ichiro. Sawada Ichiro did not have the ability to transform, so he was the weakest among them. When he saw the witch tribe elder attacking him, he quickly retreated and ran away. Elder, don't chase after them. Hurry up and lead your people out of here. Tang Zheng stopped the sorcerer tribe elder from chasing after them. Why, Lord Emissary? The elder of the sorcerer tribe was puzzled. Let's go. Tang Zheng shouted. Yes. The elder of the sorcerer tribe had no choice but to accept the order. He shouted, go, and quickly retreated into the forest. In the blink of an eye, all the sorcerer tribe members had retreated. Brat, even if they escape, I will still find them. The demon god shouted nonchalantly. Tang Zheng did not comment. He already understood that even with the help of the martial sect, it was impossible to kill the demon god. Since that was the case, he had to ensure the lives of the witch tribe members. Louis had one less strong opponent, and Sawada Ichiro had rushed back. The two of them joined forces to fight against Wu, and immediately, Wu's defeat was obvious. Go to hell! Louis shouted, and with a flap of his huge wings, su su su, a cold light filled the sky as it shot towards Wu. Puff! Marshall dodged most of the attacks and was about to be safe, but Sawada Ichiro quietly launched a sneak attack from behind, making it impossible for her to dodge. In the end, a cold light pierced through her body, and a bloody hole appeared on her body. Marshall. Seeing this, the fourth elder turned pale with fright and screamed, You monster, I'm going to cut you into pieces. Bang! A saber light flashed, and half of Louis's wing was cut off. Louis staggered and fell to the ground, blood flowing out. The fourth elder was like a gale, his saber light flashing as he surrounded Louis in an instant. Louis roared furiously as he tried to dodge left and right. However, he was clearly not as strong as the fourth elder. With a boom, he was struck by the saber and was cut in half. Ah! Sawada Ichiro was scared out of his wits when he saw such a sharp move. He hurriedly retreated. The fourth elder swept past the two halves of the body and squatted down to check on Marshall's injuries. Marshall's injuries were not fatal, but they were still dripping with blood. It looked very terrifying. Marshall, how is it? The fourth elder asked with concern. I'm fine. Wu grimaced in pain and sucked in a breath of cold air. Suddenly, her eyes widened as she shouted, Fourth elder, be careful. The fourth elder had already sensed the strange situation behind him. A sense of danger came without warning, but it was too late for him to block. A huge bloody hole appeared in the fourth elder's chest with a rumbling sound. Then, a mass of black stuff flew out of the hole. Hualala. One by one, black bats flapped their wings and flew out of the bloody hole. These bats were only the size of a fist, but they were densely packed and hovered in the sky. What was going on? Everyone was shocked, but Marshall shouted, "It's that Westerner. He didn't die. These bats were transformed by him." Louis was cut in half by the saber, but he did not die. Instead, he unexpectedly transformed into these little bats. Then these little bats gathered together like a sharp saber, directly piercing through the fourth elder's chest and taking his life. Immortal vampire. Marshall looked at the fourth elder's corpse on the ground and gritted her teeth. Her eyes were red and she exploded with a strong murderous aura. No one expected the immortal vampires to have such a transformation. "I'm going to kill you." Marshall jumped and threw herself at the bats in the air. However, before she could get close, she fell from the air to the ground. She was injured and could no longer fight. Fourth elder. Seeing this, the great clan elder was enraged. He actually abandoned the demon god and pounced towards Marshall, stopping Louis from pursuing. The bats that Louis had transformed into had to rise into the air again. With a flash of black light, the bats turned back into Louis, and the wings on their backs were as good as new. "Ha ha, immortal vampires, interesting." The demon laughed with satisfaction. "Tang Zheng, surrender now." He attacked Tang Zheng, and Tang Zheng kept retreating. Xiao Bai also spat out a flame, blocking the demon's attack. The demon didn't take advantage of the situation to pursue. He just looked at the other side proudly and said, "Now one of your people is dead and the other is injured. Show me what you have." Tang Zheng's expression changed. He didn't expect to lose so quickly. With him and the martial arts sect's people working together, they could at least hold on for a while. He didn't expect Louis to be an immortal vampire, which completely broke the balance. The fourth elder was a strong person who was half a step into the immortal realm, but he was killed by Louis' sneak attack. This was a huge loss for the martial arts sect. The first elder's face was livid. He was about to go crazy. His eyes looked like they could eat people. He shouted at Louis, "I'm going to kill you." Louis floated in the air, feeling smug. He said fearlessly, "Then come at me." Marshall grabbed the first elder's sleeve and whispered, "First elder, we are no match for them. We must leave here as soon as possible." The first elder held back. He gritted his teeth and said, "You are right. We must leave here as soon as possible. You want to escape? No way." The demon god's figure flashed and blocked the two of them. Scram! The first elder roared. He held his sword with one hand. The sword's body actually glowed. In the end, the sword light wrapped around him and Marshall. "You don't have the ability." The demon god was unmoved. A bloody light floated around his body. "Kill!" The first elder roared. The sword light suddenly moved and flew towards the demon god. At this moment, he was the sword and the sword was him. He and the sword were one. The demon god transformed into a beam of blood-red light and charged towards the sword light. With a loud boom, the ground shook and shockwaves spread out in all directions. Countless trees were swept apart and in the blink of an eye, the area within a radius of several hundred meters was flattened. Whiz! The sword light wrapped around the first elder and Marshall. It rushed forward and disappeared into the forest. Bang! The demon god landed on the ground and staggered. He spat out a mouthful of blood and cursed, "Damn it, this guy actually burned his own life in order to reach the realm of one with the sword." He escaped without a trace. This time, the demon god had suffered a little. After all, the great clan elder was a great master martial artist. This kind of expert did not hesitate to burn his own life to forcefully raise his cultivation. The demon god was slightly injured, but it was not a big deal. He turned and stared at Tang Zheng. The corner of his mouth curled up, and he laughed. "Tang Zheng, your helper has run away. What other abilities do you have now? Ha ha, if you obediently surrender, I can let you live for a few more days." Wishful thinking. Do you think everyone is like Louis, willing to work for a great demon like you? Tang Zheng said without any trace of politeness. Louis is a smart person. Smart people live longer. Louis also landed on the ground, and said, Tang Zheng, if you die, Shusha will be mine. If you dare to hurt Shusha, I will definitely not let you off. Not only you, but also your Rockefeller family. I will make it disappear from this world. Tang Zheng said angrily with his eyes wide open. Haha, you don't have that chance anymore. Do you think you still have a chance to escape? Louis said nonchalantly. Cut the crap. If I capture you, I can make the witch clan submit. I can also obtain the 4 symbols venerable, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Brat, take this. The demon god struck while the iron was hot and attacked again. The heaven-shocking bow consumed a lot of innate chi. After the great battle just now, Tang Zheng had consumed a lot of innate chi. Furthermore, he did not have any help right now. After a few moves, Tang Zheng was completely at a disadvantage. If not for Xiao Bai helping him from the side and spitting fire from time to time, he would have already been captured. Tang Zheng did not accept his fate just like that. He was not a person who accepted his fate. However, the huge gap between the two of them left him with little room to resist. Within 10 moves, he would definitely be captured alive. Chapter 401. 9 moves. The two sides had already exchanged 9 moves, and Tang Zheng's defeat was already very obvious. As long as the demon god used 1 more move, Tang Zheng would be captured alive. Please copy this address to your browser to see the first page. Whiz. A white figure suddenly rushed out from the forest, and with a flash of lightning, the sound of a horse neighing could be heard. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. Heavenly horse, it was actually the heavenly horse. When Yi Yuan returned to the 10,000 huge mountains, he brought the heaven horse back. The heaven horse was alone in the ordinary balance, so Tang Zheng specially instructed him to bring the heaven horse back to the 10,000 huge mountains and let it return to its freedom. Who would have thought that at this moment, the heaven horse would appear out of nowhere, and its speed would be even faster than before. Tang Zheng only glanced at it from the corner of his eye, then flipped over and mounted the horse. The heaven horse galloped on all 4s, barely dodging the demon god's attack. Go, run! Tang Zheng shouted loudly. The heaven horse seemed to have flown, and really turned into a white light, carrying Tang Zheng and Xiao Bai into the forest. Chase! The demon god did not see the appearance of the heaven horse clearly, but without a doubt, it was definitely not an ordinary item. He was excited to see it, and thought that there were indeed many treasures in the 10,000 huge mountains. The demon god, Louis and Sawada Ichiro sprinted forward and chased after him. However, it was obvious that the 3 of them were not weak, but their speed was half a beat slower than the heaven horse. In the end, they could only watch as the heaven horse rushed into a dense forest that covered the sky and covered the sun. 1 man and 1 horse rushed into the dense forest like a river entering the sea. They actually disappeared without a trace, not even a ghost could be seen. The demon god chased for a long distance, unwilling to give up. He was even a little exhausted, but he still could not see any traces of Tang Zheng. Suddenly, he stopped and shouted, "Stop, there's something wrong with this forest." Louis and Sawada Ichiro looked at him curiously. Sawada Ichiro asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" Louis also looked left and right, and gradually, his eyes revealed a look of realization, and said, "We were here just now." "Yes, we're running around like headless flies," the demon god said with relief. Louis was indeed very powerful. That Sawada Ichiro was too insignificant. He was too far away. Why is this happening? I remember that we are clearly going straight ahead. Sawada Ichiro shouted in panic. "Shut up, idiot. This is a formation. You think you're going straight, but you're actually taking a detour. Hehe, interesting. The shamans actually set up such a great formation to welcome us. Let them see how I break the formation," the demon god said indifferently. He stretched out his arms and closed his eyes. His whole body glowed with a bloody light. Then, a thick bloody mist was emitted from his body. It kept rolling and drifting in all directions. Sawada Ichiro quickly hid. He knew how powerful this blood fog was. Louis, on the other hand, looked as if nothing had happened and stared at the demon god. Clatter, clatter, clatter. The heavenly horse's hooves were hurried and fast, but every time it leaped into the air, it crossed a large distance. There was no trace of the enemy behind it. Tang Zheng came out of the dense forest that covered the sky and the sun. His eyes suddenly opened up. This was the mighty tribe of the shamans. At this moment, there were a lot of people gathered at the entrance of the tribe. The witch clan and the archaeological team were all looking forward to it. When they saw Tang Zheng, everyone burst into thunderous cheers and immediately rushed forward to welcome him. "Lord Messenger, how are you? Are you okay?" the elder of the shamans asked with concern. Qi Shuowen was not willing to be left behind. He asked sincerely, "Tang Zheng, are you hurt? What about those people? How are they?" Tang Zheng turned over and got off the horse. He took a deep breath and calmed down a little. He said, "I'm not hurt for the time being. One of the Wu Zong people is dead and another is injured. One of the demon god's people is dead. Now that the Wu Zong people have escaped, only the demon god and the other two are chasing after us. Is this illusion array useful? How long can it last?" Qi Shuowen was experienced and knowledgeable, but he still felt that his brain was not enough. He was at a loss. Tang Zheng looked at the shaman clan elder. The shaman clan elder understood and said, "They can't break through for the time being. Everyone, quickly go back and recuperate. If the enemy breaks through the illusion array, then we can only fight to the death." Fight to the death. Everyone's hearts trembled, and many of them even turned pale, especially Lu Ming, who was in the archaeological team. He had just been saved by the shamans and was pulled back from the brink of death. He had yet to fully recover from his shock. At this moment, seeing that Tang Zheng did not have the confidence to win, he was even more frightened, and said, "You guys don't have the confidence, why did you bring us here? Let the enemy catch a turtle in a jar. If you don't want to stay here, no one will stop you. The road is under your feet. Walk out yourself." Tang Zheng's gaze turned cold as he said snappily, "If you dare to make any more noise, do you believe that I won't break your neck?" Yi Yuan threatened in anger. Lu Ming shrunk his neck and did not dare to say another word. Looking at the angry gazes around him, he quickly retreated to a corner and curled his lips, thinking to himself, "Tang Zheng, now that these people are listening to you, I'll let you be arrogant for now. Once we leave the 10,000 huge mountains, see how I'll deal with you, an undisciplined fellow." Everyone returned to the tribe. Other than a small number of people who stayed at their posts and observed the enemy, the rest of them went back to rest. Although Tang Zheng had consumed a lot of his innate qi, he did not have time to rest. He already understood that the illusion array would definitely not be able to stop the demon god, and it was only a matter of time before the other party broke through the array. Once the illusion array was broken, the entire shaman clan would be exposed in front of him, and they would not have much power to resist. I was the one who discovered the shaman clan, and they only discovered the shaman clan because they were chasing after me, so I definitely cannot bring about a calamity to the shaman clan. I have to think of a way to deal with it. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and thought to himself. He called the witch clan elder and Yi Yuan to discuss countermeasures, but the three of them had been plotting for a long time, but there was no effective way. Suddenly, Tang Zheng saw Qi Shuowen, who was looking at the 4 gigantic stone statues in the plaza. He had an idea and said, "Quickly go and invite Professor Qi over." Yi Yuan went out and invited Qi Shuowen back after a while. Qi Shuowen clicked his tongue and praised, "Miracle, this is truly a miracle. These 4 stone statues, no, these 4 symbols venerables are simply miracles. The carvings are so lifelike, and they are so tall, they are simply uncanny workmanship. If we can get a little closer, touch, feel, and study them, we will definitely have a lot of shocking gains." Qi Shuowen was already immersed in the emotions of archaeology, and the stone statues of the 4 symbols venerables had given him too much of a shock. However, they were the guardian gods of the shaman clan, and outsiders were not allowed to get close to them, let alone this group of archaeologists who had designs on the guardian gods. Therefore, Qi Shuowen could only look at them from afar and enjoy himself. "Professor Qi, the 4 symbols venerables are the guardian gods of the shaman clan, and they are extraordinary, so I want to ask if you have seen any information about the 4 symbols venerables before?" Tang Zheng looked at him expectantly and asked. Qi Shuowen shook his head regretfully, "I really haven't. This is a miracle. If I can see it once in my life, even if I die, I will have no regrets. Professor Chi, let me tell you one more thing, these 4 stone statues can move. At this point, there was no need for Tang Zheng to hide anything. They can move. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Is there some kind of control mechanism or component inside them? Qi Shuowen asked suspiciously. Tang Zheng shook his head. These 4 stone statues were amazing, and they were definitely not machines. Last time, they were activated because they had absorbed the blood of the shaman clan. Last time, the shaman clan had suffered a great loss. Could it be that this time, they would have to suffer a great loss before they could awaken the guardian gods? Tang Zheng did not want to see such an outcome. He hoped to find a way to activate the 4 symbols venerables first, so that they could resist the demon god's attack. The 4 symbols venerables, the 4 symbols. Qi Shuowen frowned and mumbled to himself. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he said, "Have you heard of the saying that Tai Chi gives birth to yin and yang give birth to the 4 symbols, and the 4 symbols give birth to the 8 trigrams?" Yes, I have. Could it be related to the guardian gods? Tang Zheng could not figure out the crux of the matter at the moment. I'm not sure about the specifics. This is just my guess. Since they are called the 4 symbols venerables, do you think the thing that drives them to move is related to the Tai Chi 8 trigrams formation? Qi Shuowen analyzed. This. Tang Zheng and the shaman clan elder looked at each other. They had always thought that the guardian gods could only be activated by the blood of the shaman clan. They had never thought about this before. Qi Shuowen was a senior scholar, and he paid more attention to logic and science. Although he already knew that there were many mysterious forces in this world, his subconscious mind still operated according to the scientific method. I observed your square just now. In fact, this is a huge Tai Chi yin and yang formation. I learned this from a few words left behind in an ancient book. I didn't study this in the past, so I didn't pay much attention to it. After all, I didn't believe that there was such an illusory thing in the world. However, the ancient book clearly stated that this Tai Chi yin-yang formation is a very powerful formation. It evolved from the great Tao in the unseen world and has unfathomable power. Moreover, this formation has many changes and many different functions. Tang Zheng was in high spirits. He asked, "Elder, have you heard of this formation?" The shaman clan elder shook his head and said, "There are many formations in this world, and many of them have been passed down. Back then, we couldn't cultivate and no one studied in this field. So I only know a little about formations. I don't know about this Tai Chi yin and yang formation." Tang Zheng was not disappointed. Instead, he looked at Qi Shuowen and asked, "Professor Qi, do you know how to activate and control this Tai Chi yin and yang formation?" "Let me recall." Qi Shuowen closed his eyes and frowned. He was lost in his memories. The other 3 did not dare to disturb him and looked at him nervously. If Qi Shuowen could not find a way, they would have to use the blood of the shaman clan to awaken the guardian gods. They were afraid that the shaman clan members would sacrifice their lives. This was not something they wanted to see. Time passed slowly. Qi Shuowen's frown deepened. The hearts of the 3 gradually sank. Chapter 402. After a long while, Qi Shuowen suddenly raised his head and said, "I remember now. That ancient book also recorded the method to activate the Taiji yin-yang formation. Do you have a pen and paper? I'll draw it. Please copy this address to your browser." Yi Yuan quickly handed over a pen and paper, and Qi Shuowen began to draw attentively. The Witch Clan elder had studied the plaza of the Witch Clan for many years, and was extremely familiar with every inch of it. When he saw Qi Shuowen's drawing, his eyes lit up, and he said, "This is the miniature version of the plaza." At this point, the 3 of them finally believed that the Witch Clan's plaza was actually a huge Taiji yin-yang formation, and that the 4 symbols venerable needed to rely on this formation to activate it. This is the heart of the formation. People can activate the formation at the heart of the formation and control the 4 symbols venerable. Qi Shuowen pointed at a point on the painting and said excitedly. The 3 of them looked at the point he was pointing at the same time. Their hearts moved slightly as they said, The heart of the formation is in the center of the plaza. How do we activate it? Qi Shuowen picked up his pen and wrote another profound text, saying, "This is the specific method to activate it, but I can't understand the profound meaning behind it, so I can only rely on you guys." The three of them looked at the text. It was indeed profound and obscure, but to the Witch Clan elder and Tang Zheng, it was not a heavenly book. The text explained in detail how to activate the formation, but it required many conditions. The Witch Clan elder shook his head regretfully. According to the text, activating this formation requires an extremely strong amount of genuine qi. Our genuine qi is not enough to support it. Tang Zheng also nodded. Yes, to activate the formation, one must stand at the center of the formation with one's own strength, use one's own genuine qi to activate the Taiji yin-yang formation, and use this genuine qi to pour into the bodies of the 4 stone statues, thus reaching the level of controlling the 4 symbols venerable. So it turns out that blood is not needed to control the stone statues. You need to infuse your vital energy into the bodies of the 4 divine beasts according to a certain pattern. Only then will you be able to control them perfectly. However, using the blood of the shaman tribe as a guide will only trigger them. There is no way to truly control them, said the shaman tribe elder. The key is that none of us can reach the strength of the genuine qi mentioned above. I think we need to be in the Grandmaster realm to have so much genuine qi. Tang Zheng said. Don't we have any other way? At most, all of us can just pour our innate qi into the guardian god's body. Yi Yuan said unwillingly. The witch tribe elder shook his head and said, No, it's very clear that only one person's genuine qi can enter the guardian god's body. Everyone's genuine qi is different. If different people's genuine qi enters the guardian god's body, it will cause a huge mess. It's hard to predict what will happen in the end. Qi Shuowen heaved a long sigh and said, The 4 symbols venerables are too miraculous. I really don't know what to do. He'd originally intended to study the 4 symbols venerables, yet now, this had completely exceeded the scope of his study, and it caused him to be at a loss for what to do. I'll give it a try later. But right now, I have to recover my primary qi before the demon god breaks through the illusion array. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and made up his mind. Among all of us, only you have the highest level of cultivation. This is the only way. The elder of the sorcerer tribe had no other choice but to do this. After the few of them left the room, Tang Zheng sat down cross-legged and quickly recovered his innate qi. When the sky gradually darkened, he finally completely recovered his strength and walked out of the room. The witch tribe was already brightly lit, and everyone was gathered in the plaza, listening to the rumbling sounds coming from the forest in the distance. Without a doubt, the demon god was breaking through the array, and the commotion was getting louder and louder. It was obvious that the illusion array could not hold on for much longer. Lord Envoy, let's eat first. The witch tribe elder said. No rush. Let me take a look at the array first. Tang Zheng walked to the center of the plaza, and everyone stared at him. Under the illumination of the fire, he stopped in his tracks, and spread out his hands. The innate qi surged out from his palms, and flowed in all directions. This plaza was very big. After his innate qi had traveled a certain distance, it would no longer be controlled by his body and would become erratic. Doesn't this mean that there's no way to inject the innate qi into the stone statue? He collected his thoughts and tried a few more times, but every time, the innate qi would escape his control after traveling a certain distance. There was no way to succeed. Professor Qi's method is not feasible at all. It's impossible to inject the innate qi into the 4 stone statues at the same time, and at the center of the array at such a distance. His face darkened, and his eyebrows drooped in disappointment. Lord Envoy, what's wrong? The witch tribe elder asked anxiously. Tang Zheng shook his head and told the witch tribe elder what he felt. The witch tribe elder nodded and said, I noticed this when I saw you use it just now. Ordinary people can control the innate qi in their bodies as easily as their arms. Lord Envoy, your level of cultivation is high, so even if your innate qi can break through the restraints of your body, you can still succeed, but at such a distance, it's very difficult to control it. Tang Zheng glanced at the distance from the center of the array to each stone statue. The distance between the center and the 4 stone statues was equal, and they were all more than 10 meters apart. Doesn't that mean there's no other way? Qi Shuowen sighed regretfully. The others also looked at Tang Zheng. Everyone knew very well that the trump card to resist the demon god was these 4 stone statues. Now that Tang Zheng could not move them at all, he could only wait for the demon god to come knocking on his door. Lord Envoy, if we really can't do it, we will use the old method. We will use the blood of our witch tribe as a guide and let the guardian god protect our safety. The witch tribe elder said resolutely. No. Tang Zheng rejected without hesitation. Unless we have no other choice, we cannot sacrifice the lives of our clansmen. But there's no other way. We can't just let the demon god attack, right? The witch tribe elder said with a bitter expression. Lord Envoy, we are willing to sacrifice ourselves. As long as we can protect the lifeline of the witch tribe, what is the point of sacrificing us? Yi Yuan took the lead and volunteered. Yes, we are willing to sacrifice ourselves. Isn't it just blood? We witch tribesmen are not afraid of bleeding, we are not afraid of sacrificing ourselves, as long as we die a worthy death. The others echoed loudly. The archaeological team could not help but be shocked when they saw how hot-blooded these people were and how they were willing to risk their lives. However, Lu Ming, who was mixed in with the group, curled his lips and had a look of disapproval. Lord Envoy, did you see that? This is the will of our witch tribe. The witch tribe elder said. Tang Zheng's face was stern as he looked at the resolute faces and said, if I say no, then no. This is an order. Don't tell me that everyone is not going to follow my orders. With that said, the witch tribesmen all lowered their heads. The elder even bowed his body and said in fear and trepidation, we don't dare. If you don't dare, then follow my orders. I won't use your blood to activate the guardian god. I'll try again. Tang Zheng was about to do the same thing again when he heard a loud boom. A red light lit up in the forest outside the tribe, and then countless towering trees fell to the ground. Lord Envoy, Elder, the enemy has broken through the illusion array. The witch tribesmen on the city tower shouted. Fight! The elder of the sorcerer tribe shouted, and the tribesmen picked up their weapons and rushed up the city wall. The demon god's roar could be heard from outside the city gate. All of you, listen to me. If you surrender obediently, I can still take you under my command and fight with me. If you are stubborn, I will completely destroy you and make the sorcerer tribe disappear from this world. Lord Envoy, I will deal with him. You can continue to ponder over this Taiji Ini formation. With that, the witch tribe elder rushed up the city wall and said sternly, the witch tribe will only die on the battlefield and will never surrender. You should give up on this thought. Since that's the case, then there's no need for the witch tribe to exist in this world. The demon god roared. Release the arrows. With the order of the witch tribe elder, countless arrows rained down from the city wall, covering the sky and the earth. Child's play, I'll show you what I can do. The demon god shouted and immediately launched a counterattack. Tang Zheng listened to the sounds of the fierce battle, his heartstrings tightened and his breathing quickened involuntarily. The archaeological team standing at the side was even more anxious. Qi Shuowen advised, Tang Zheng, don't panic, calm down, there will be a way, I believe in you. Yes, we all believe in you, Tang Zheng, you will succeed. The archaeological team placed all their hopes of survival on Tang Zheng, of course, they hoped for a miracle. Weren't those witch tribesmen willing to sacrifice themselves? He rejected it himself. I think he is an arrogant fool who wants to get us all killed. Lu Ming sneered. Shut up. You have no right to speak here. Qi Shuowen shouted. Lu Ming shrunk his neck, not daring to speak any more nonsense. Everyone stared at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng felt an unprecedented pressure. Everyone's lives depended on him. He tried to control the flow of vital energy into the stone statue again, but he failed just like before. Tang Zheng gritted his teeth and thought, if I don't succeed again, the elder and the rest won't be able to stop the demon god. I must succeed, but the problem is that I have too little vital energy, and the vital energy is flowing outside my body, I can't control it at all. He racked his brains and suddenly, an idea came to him. What if I have enough vital energy? However, A person's vital energy was limited by their cultivation level. There was only so much vital energy. However, this was only for ordinary people. Tang Zheng could find another way to solve this problem. Yes, the dragon origin pill. It can increase enough vital energy in a short period of time. Maybe it will work. Tang Zheng immediately took out a dragon origin pill and swallowed it. A loud bang sounded in his body. The dragon origin pill transformed into a majestic energy, rushing into his 8 extraordinary meridians like a flood, as if it was going to burst his body. He waved his hands in all directions, swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The vigorous vital energy was visible to the naked eye, creating ripples in the air, shooting rapidly toward the 4 guardian deities. Swoosh. The complicated patterns on the square immediately lit up, and rays of black light shot up into the sky. The patterns floated, emitting a mysterious power. Chapter 403. This miraculous scene caused everyone to be flabbergasted. Many people had already started asking each other, is this a success? No one knew the answer, even Tang Zheng did not know the answer. He only continuously channeled the innate qi outwards. The dragon Yuan Dan was indeed very powerful, and with him wantonly squandering the innate qi like this, his body still felt like it was about to explode. Please copy this address to your browser to see the first page. The patterns and the innate qi quickly flew towards the 4 stone statues. The patterns wrapped around the stone statues, and the innate qi also entered the stone statues. Immediately, Tang Zheng felt a strong suction force, crazily absorbing his innate qi. Hoo-hoo, the innate qi was like a surging river, quickly flowing away. Look, the stone statue is glowing. Someone pointed at the stone statue and exclaimed. The stone statue was indeed emitting a black light. Tang Zheng also saw it, and was overjoyed. It seemed that he had really succeeded. After injecting the innate qi, the guardian god seemed to be coming to life. When the great clan elder and the others on the city gate tower saw this scene, they were all overjoyed, and said, everyone work harder, Lord Envoy has succeeded. As long as we awaken the guardian god, then the enemy will not be our match. One by one, the witch clan members' eyes lit up as they charged towards the demon god and the other 2 without caring about their own safety. This kind of long-distance attack, the arrows were indeed blessed by the heavens, causing the demon god and the other 2 to have no way of getting close. The demon god raised his head and looked at the tall city wall. He frowned and said, it wasn't easy for us to break through that illusion array. How can we be blocked by this wall? Everyone, work harder, we must rush in. Demon god, look, the stone statue is glowing. Louis pointed at the stone statue that was a large part of the city wall and exclaimed. The demon god took a closer look. The stone statue was indeed emitting a black light, and it was getting brighter and brighter. A mysterious aura was gradually spreading out. The demon god was greatly shaken, and said, we have to rush in as soon as possible. They are fantasizing about the 4 symbols venerable. Damn it, this group of people actually have a way to awaken such a powerful 4 symbols venerable. We definitely can't let them succeed, or else we'll be in trouble. The demon god's body was covered in a bloody light. He waved his hand and the blood blade flew into the sky. He jumped on the blood blade and shouted, Louis, transform and fly in from the sky. The Fien Celestial's move was also a sword kinesis technique, but it wasn't simple. It allowed the blood blade to carry the weight of a person and fly in the air. It was equivalent to giving a person a pair of wings. This move consumed a lot of energy, so the demon god would not use it easily. But now, he could not care less. When the demon god controlled the blood blade to fly into the sky, Louis also transformed and flew up. Only Sawada Ichiro could only look on helplessly. The 2 of them flew over the city tower and towards the center of the square. The elder of the witch tribe shouted in panic, release the arrows. Stop them. We must stop them. Whoosh, whoosh. Many arrows soared into the sky, shrouding the 2 of them like a dark cloud. However, a layer of red light appeared on the demonic god's body, blocking all the arrows. Louis flapped his wings fiercely, and it was as if a tornado had swept past, causing the rain of arrows to be unable to do anything to him. The demon god had already seen Tang Zheng casting his spell. He shouted, charge down. We must stop this kid. Whoosh, whoosh. Two figures swooped down like two cannonballs, heading straight for Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng was casting his spell and did not have any extra energy to fight. At that moment, the elder roared and jumped down from the city tower. He waved his scepter forward and blocked Tang Zheng's head. Furthermore, vines spread out from the scepter and rapidly grew, as though they were holding up a huge umbrella for Tang Zheng. Boom! With one move from the demon god, the large umbrella made of interwoven vines was shattered into pieces. However, with this buffer time, the elder of the sorcerer tribe had already rushed to the square and smashed his huge fist directly at the demon god. Boom! The elder of the witch tribe flew out, but the demon god only paused for a moment before flying towards Tang Zheng. He descended from the sky and was determined to completely destroy Tang Zheng. Everyone watched this scene with their eyes wide open, but no one had the ability to lend a helping hand. Tang Zheng also had no other choice. Just now, he had used up all his genuine qi. He hurriedly took a second Dragon Yuan elixir to be able to continue supporting the formation. Only then did he realize that activating the Tai Chi Yin-Yang formation was not as simple as he had imagined. The 4 stone statues were like 4 bottomless pits, constantly absorbing his genuine qi. If it were not for the Dragon Yuan elixir providing him with genuine qi, he would have been sucked dry and become a cripple even without the demon god's attack. Die, Tang Zheng! The demon god shouted. The bloody blade fell back into his hand. With a flash of red light, it slashed towards Tang Zheng. No. Many people let out heart-wrenching screams, but no one was able to stop all of this. Just as the bloody blade was about to hit Tang Zheng, a black light suddenly spread out from the center of the square and quickly wrapped around Tang Zheng. Boom! The bloody blade slashed onto the black light, but the black light only trembled slightly. On the other hand, the demon god was sent flying into the sky by a huge force. Whiz! The black light rapidly expanded. In the end, it not only wrapped around Tang Zheng, but also the entire square. It was like a huge protective shield. What's going on? The demon god and Louis floated in the air, looking at everything in shock. They could not understand at all. The others heaved a sigh of relief and stared at the protective shield with their mouths agape. The elder of the witch tribe said after a long while, "The guardian god is protecting us." All the people of the witch tribe knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the stone statue. Their eyes were filled with excitement and gratitude. When the archaeological team saw this magical scene, their brains were no longer enough. Other than their mouths wide open and their faces full of surprise, they did not know what words to use to describe their feelings. Kill. I don't believe that this crappy barrier can protect you. The demon god roared indignantly. He would not admit defeat, nor did he want to fail on the verge of success. Boom! The bloody blade slashed at the protective shield again, causing it to tremble. It was intact, but the demon god did not plan on letting it go. He urged, "Louis, you too. Let's break through this protective shield together. Otherwise, we will fail on the verge of success." Boom! 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 The demon god and Louis were like 2 madmen as they constantly attacked the protective shield. The protective shield was very stable in the beginning, but cracks began to appear later on. The duo's attacks were still very terrifying. The protective shield clearly could not hold on any longer. Everyone looked at the protective shield in horror and asked, "What do we do? What do we do now?" Everyone, believe in the Lord Messenger. Believe in the guardian god. We will definitely be fine, the elder of the witch tribe comforted. Everyone could not help but look at Tang Zheng. His face was covered in sweat and his veins protruded. His body was trembling slightly. Clearly, he was struggling to hold on. Kacha. Suddenly, the protective shield shattered and dissipated into black light that filled the sky. Everyone was once again exposed to the demon god's attacks. Haha, let's see how you resist now. The demon god swooped down and headed straight for Tang Zheng. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Just as the demon god was about to hit Tang Zheng, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. His heart trembled as he gave up on attacking Tang Zheng and quickly flew to the side. Su. A huge palm swept across the spot where the demon god had been. If he had not dodged, he would have definitely been caught by the palm. It was the stone statue's palm. The stone statues moved and the four supremes came to life. Their eyes suffused a glow and a glance was enough to make one feel an overwhelming pressure. This. The demon god looked at the four awakened stone statues with his mouth agape. His heart turned cold. Wow, the guardian god. The guardian god has finally awakened. We are saved. The cheers of the witch tribe were deafening as everyone broke into laughter. Phew. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. At the last moment, just as his innate qi was about to run out, these four symbols venerable ones were finally awakened. The moment they opened their eyes and moved, Tang Zheng had an illusion, as if there was a mysterious connection between him and these stone statues. Suddenly, one of the stone statues bent down and knelt down in front of Tang Zheng. Yes, the legendary four symbols venerable actually knelt down in front of Tang Zheng. Everyone stared at the scene in disbelief. Even Tang Zheng felt as if he had fallen into the clouds. He had no idea what was going on. However, he was certain that the four supremes had no ill intentions towards him. Instead, there was a voice calling out to him from the bottom of his heart, encouraging him to walk over. As a result, he walked over to the kneeling stone statue. The stone statue's eyes were very bright and gave off an indescribable pressure to ordinary people. However, Tang Zheng did not feel any pressure at all. Instead, he felt a sense of intimacy. The stone statue opened a palm and placed it flat on the ground. Tang Zheng was confused and had no idea what it meant. However, the stone statue was not in a hurry. Instead, it stared straight at Tang Zheng. Suddenly, Tang Zheng seemed to have understood something. He carefully walked over to the palm and stood on it. Hiss. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Just now, they had clearly seen how powerful that palm was. As long as that palm gently grasped it, Tang Zheng would be smashed into pieces. Many people's hearts were in their throats. The demon god and Louis watched all of this with mixed feelings. They had no idea what was going to happen next. On the contrary, Tang Zheng's heart was the calmest. He could feel a sense of intimacy from the stone statue. There was not the slightest trace of hostility. The stone statue stood up and raised its palm to where its heart was. Catcher. Suddenly, a stone door opened in its heart. This scene was like a miracle, causing everyone to hold their breaths at the same time. Tang Zheng lightly leaped from the palm to the stone door. Then, he strode inside. A black light instantly enveloped him, making him feel warm. In a daze, Tang Zheng arrived on a chair made of stone. As soon as he sat on this stone chair, many things inexplicably appeared in his heart. At this moment, his eyes also became pitch black, like the deep night sky. Raise your leg. A thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Boom. The earth trembled. The stone statue raised its leg and put it down again, moving according to Tang Zheng's thoughts. Chapter 404. Tang Zheng was astounded. He could actually control the statue according to his will. Everyone on the ground watched as Tang Zheng disappeared into the statue's chest. Their mouths were about to fall to the ground. Please copy this address to your browser. Fuck, why the F***ck is this happening? The demon god cursed. He could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. The feeling of unease grew stronger and stronger. Tang Zheng heard the demon god's furious roar. With a thought, the venerable of four symbols strode towards the demon god. Before the venerable of four symbols, the demon god was like an ant. The demon god rapidly retreated. Seeing that he could no longer retreat, he charged into the sky and slashed at the venerable of four symbols. Sparks flew, but the venerable of four symbols remained unscathed. Tang Zheng swept his hand through the air. The venerable of four symbols did the same. Its huge arm directly swept towards the demon god. Bang! The demon god was swept into the city wall by this attack. Debris flew everywhere as he slammed into the wall. He was in a sorry state. He staggered to the ground and stared at the venerable of four symbols in despair. He said, "Impossible. Why is this thing so powerful? Why does Tang Jing have the fortune to be able to control it? Why?" He asked several questions in a row. Clearly, he was unwilling to give up. He gripped his blade tightly and charged up again with a roar. Tssss. A huge palm fell from the sky. The demon god felt like a dark cloud was floating over his head. The tremendous pressure made him tremble from the depths of his soul. Smack. The stone palm struck the square. The square remained unscathed, but everyone knew that if they were struck, they would definitely be reduced to mincemeat. Louis, what are you staring at? Hurry up and attack him. Let's attack him together, the demon god called out in a panic. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Louis hurriedly flapped his wings. Streaks of cold light shot out from his wings and struck the venerable of 4 symbols. The ding-dang rang out, but it did not leave a single mark on the venerable of 4 symbols. Although Tang Zheng was inside the body of the 4 symbols saint, he could clearly see Louis's actions. This feeling was very mysterious. It was as if he had become one with the 4 symbols saint. What the 4 symbols saint saw was what he saw. Tang Zheng casually swept his hand and grabbed at Louis. Louis knew how powerful this was, so he hurriedly flapped his wings and retreated. However, his speed was clearly a level lower than the demon god's. The 4 symbols venerable's giant hand changed its move very quickly. The lightning arrow blocked his path of retreat and grabbed him in the palm of its hand. Ah! Louis immediately opened his mouth and screamed in agony. The immense pressure caused his blood to drip down from the palm of the 4 symbols venerable. Bang! With a loud explosion, Louis was crushed into pieces. However, with a flash of blood, Louis turned back into bats and flew into the sky. Xiao Bai, burn him! Tang Zheng shouted. When Little White heard the sound, it leaped up from the ground and jumped onto the 4 symbols venerable's body. Then, it opened its pink mouth and spat out with all its might. Boom! Flames filled the sky. Half the sky was dyed red, as if the clouds were on fire. Quite a few bats were directly enveloped by the flames. Sharp screams of agony rang through the night sky. However, in the end, a few bats still managed to escape in a panic. Tang Zheng did not continue to pursue them. Instead, he stared at the demon god and said, "Demon god, tell me, will you die or will I die?" His voice was like rolling thunder, exuding a powerful sense of authority. "Brat, I don't know what method you've used to control the 4 symbols venerable, but let me tell you, there's no way you can kill me." The demon god roared furiously, refusing to admit defeat. "Chimph, is that so? Then let's have another competition." Just as Tang Zheng's voice fell, the 4 symbols venerable raised his head and roared, directly stomping towards the demon god. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, causing the demon god to roll and crawl to avoid this calamity. "This won't do. The 4 symbols venerable is too strong, and I can't harm him at all. If this stalemate continues, I'll be the one to suffer if I'm careless. I need to leave first and slowly plan things out in the future. This brat can't hide in the 4 symbols venerable's body forever. As long as he's alone, I'll be able to deal with him," the demon god thought. Seeing the 4 symbols venerable attack him on all fours, the demon god leapt into the air and tried to flee on his blood blade. Tang Zheng saw through the demon god's intentions with a single glance. He called out, "Stay." With a palm strike, a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas surged out. There was a muffled sound of thunder in the sky, and with a bang, the bloody light on the surface of the demon god's body was swept into pieces by this palm. The demon god spat out a mouthful of blood, but he didn't dare to stay. Instead, he kept urging his power, and with a whoosh, he turned into a bloody light and fled. The demon god Sawada Ichiro fled from the sky as well. He also fled with his tail between his legs. The originally intense battlefield immediately quieted down. Everyone looked at the 4 symbols venerable at the same time. The shamans also noticed something strange. The 4 protectors had moved earlier, but ever since Tang Zheng entered one of them, the other 3 stopped. There was a huge difference from the last time when the 4 protectors moved together to deal with the mystical beasts. Furthermore, it was obvious that the protectors' battle prowess had increased by a lot this time. No one could figure out what was going on. Tang Zheng walked out of the door in the Four Symbols Venerable's chest and was carried back to the ground. Then, the Four Symbols Venerable returned to his original position. He did not move at all, as if he had never moved. Everyone immediately gathered around, wanting to say something but hesitating. Tang Zheng signaled everyone to calm down with his eyes. He said calmly, "Everyone, go back and rest. The enemy has escaped and will not come back for the time being." Seeing that Tang Zheng wanted to say something but hesitated, it was obvious that he had something to say in front of everyone. The shaman elder said in a deep voice, "Lord Envoy is right. We don't know what kind of dangerous things will happen tomorrow. Everyone, go back and rest." Thus, the shamans obediently returned to their rooms. Tang Zheng looked at the archaeological team and said, "You guys should also go back and rest. We've experienced too many things in the past few days. Everyone is physically and mentally exhausted. Tonight, we can have a good night's sleep." Now, Tang Zheng was the leader here, and the archaeological team did not dare to disobey him. Even Lu Ming, after seeing his methods, did not dare to speak nonsense anymore. He quickly returned to his room, afraid that Tang Zheng would cause trouble for him. Qi Shuowen was very gratified that he had helped to resolve this crisis. He said, "Tang Zheng, you've worked hard in this series of battles. You should also rest early." "Yes, Professor Qi." Qi Shuowen raised his head and looked at the Four Symbols Venerable with a complicated expression. He had originally come to study these stone statues, but now he realized that with his own knowledge, he could not understand them at all. He could only sigh. "Elder, let's talk inside." Tang Zheng called the elder and Yi Yuan back to the house. Seeing Tang Zheng's serious expression, the elder asked nervously, "Lord Envoy, what's wrong?" Tang Zheng asked in a deep voice, "Is there really no detailed information about the protectors in the shaman tribe?" The elder thought for a while, then firmly shook his head. "There really isn't. Is there a problem with the protectors?" "There's no problem, but just like what the demon god said, these four stone statues are the Four Symbols Venerable ones, a rather terrifying existence in this world. When their strength is strong, they can destroy the heavens and earth." Tang Zheng said. "Destroy the heavens and earth?" The elder sucked in a breath of cold air, his eyes shining. "This was left behind for us by the ancestors of the shaman tribe. Back then, the ancestors really had foresight. They knew that our shaman tribe would encounter many disasters, so they left behind such a powerful guardian god for us. Yes, although I am not sure which ancestor of the shaman tribe left behind the Four Symbols Venerable ones, but when I was communicating with the Four Symbols Venerable ones, I received some other fragmented information." What fragment of information? The elder and Yi Yuan were both very curious. These fragments are very messy. They seem to be talking about a very intense battle. Countless powerful experts are fighting, shaking the heavens and earth, and the entire world seems to be on the verge of destruction. The clearest part is the fragment about the Four Symbols Venerable ones. They are fighting with extremely powerful demon beasts. The sun, moon, and stars are all dim, and it is unknown how many years they have been fighting, but in the end, many demon beasts were killed by them. And these demon beasts are different from the demon beasts we have seen before. I can't even name them, but without a doubt, these demon beasts all have the ability to pierce through the heavens and earth, and their bodies are also huge. Each of them is like a towering mountain peak, standing tall between the heavens and earth, giving people a very small feeling. As Tang Zheng spoke, he could not help but exclaim. He was obviously shocked by the fragmented fragments he had just obtained. Although they were only fragmented fragments, he still felt as if he was there, and could completely sense how terrifying that world-shaking battle was. He believed that with his little bit of strength, if he was in that battlefield, he would be killed in less than a minute. This was because the difference between the two sides could no longer be described as the difference between heaven and earth. There was simply no comparison. In the past, Tang Zheng felt good about himself and felt that his strength was not bad. However, compared to the many supreme experts in that fragment, he was as small as an ant. The elder and Yi Yuan were also flabbergasted, stunned by Tang Zheng's description. After a long while, they said, "Is there still such a powerful demonic beasts in this world? It's like a mountain. How huge would that be? The fighting strength of that kind of demonic beasts is too terrifying." It's really hard to imagine. Yi Yuan also exclaimed, the key is that they were still destroyed by the Four Symbols Venerable Ones. This means that the Four Symbols Venerable Ones' bodies are even more powerful than what we saw today. Tang Zheng nodded his head solemnly. He had also judged this point. Although the Four Symbols Venerable Ones had forced the demon god to flee, compared to the fighting strength in that fragment, it was simply a piece of cake. Tang Zheng even had the misconception that letting the Four Symbols Venerable Ones deal with an enemy at the level of the demon god was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. Lord Envoy, that great battle must have happened a very long time ago. I can't be sure about the specifics. I'm afraid there aren't any demonic beasts of that level in this world anymore, the elder said. Tang Zheng suddenly had an idea, as if he had thought of something. He subconsciously said, that might not be true. Chapter 405. The Witch Clan Elder and Yi Yuan were shocked, and said, not necessarily. Could it be that there are still such powerful demonic beasts in this world? Tang Zheng thought back to the lightning cloud he had encountered in the prehistoric heavenly tomb. That terrifying aura was still fresh in his mind, and he could conclude that there was definitely some kind of extraordinary creature in the clouds. Please copy this address to your browser to see. After Tang Zheng's explanation, the elder was also shocked, and said, how can there be such a powerful demonic beasts in the Forbidden Grounds? Most likely. Then if this kind of demonic beasts were to leave the Forbidden Grounds, the elder no longer dared to imagine the consequences. Tang Zheng shook his head. No, when I left the prehistoric heavenly tomb, the clouds did not chase after me, which means that its range of activity is in the prehistoric heavenly tomb. How could such a powerful demonic beast survive? Tang Zheng did not know the answer either, but from the memory fragments just now, he had a bold guess. The origin of the prehistoric heavenly tomb had always been a mystery, and in the memory fragments, there must have been many experts who had fallen in that heaven-shaking battle. Could the prehistoric heavenly tomb be the tomb of those experts? Very likely. The Witch Clan elder's eyes lit up. Prehistoric heavenly tomb has always been a forbidden area for the Witch Clan. According to legend, there are powerful existences that we can't resist, and when Lord Envoy entered last time, it proved this point. Furthermore, he found out that there were many experts buried inside, and these experts would definitely not die so easily. They must have experienced an incomparable great battle, and the scenes that Lord Envoy described were extremely similar to that level of great battle. In other words, the Four Symbols Venerable experienced that incomparable battle. Do you think it could be the legendary Battle of Zhualu? Tang Zheng suddenly had an idea and asked. It's possible. The ancestors of the Witch Clan followed Kai Yu and participated in that great battle. Could there be tombs of the ancestors of the Witch Clan in the prehistoric heavenly tomb? In addition, the fact that the Witch Clan was imprisoned here has always been a secret. No one knows about this secret, so is there an answer to this matter in the prehistoric heavenly tomb? The elder asked a few questions in a row and gradually became agitated. He said, Lord Envoy, we must get to the bottom of this. This is related to the history of the Magi. Tang Zheng muttered, that makes sense. Then we'll have to go to the forbidden area again. Now, Lord Envoy, you can control the guardian god. Even if you go to the Forbidden Grounds again, there shouldn't be any problems, right? Yi Yuan said. The Witch Clan elder also looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze and said, Our Yuan's words are reasonable. With the protection of the guardian god, you can enter the Forbidden Grounds. I don't know if it's possible to bring the guardian out of the tribe. Let's try again tomorrow. Tang Zheng was also itching to make a move. If he could really bring the Fiend Celestial out of the tribe, he could really barge into the Forbidden Land. In addition, didn't Tian Chanzi say that he was in the 10,000 huge mountains, but he had not been seen for the past few days. Even the Witch Clan had not seen him, which meant that he had gone straight to the prehistoric heavenly tomb. Tang Zheng now understood that the prehistoric heavenly tomb was far more dangerous than he had imagined. Although the Heaven Monk's cultivation was very high, it did not mean that he would not encounter any danger. After so long, there was no news of him. No matter what, he had to make a trip to the prehistoric heavenly tomb. This time, Lord Envoy has really controlled the guardian god, and not just used his blood to wake them up like last time. I feel that this time, he will definitely be able to get the god of surgery to leave the plaza. The witch clan elder said confidently. This night was very long. Whether it was the witch clan or the archaeological team, none of them really slept well. After all, the battle during the day was too intense, causing them to be unable to sleep for a long time. On the other hand, there were also people who could not sleep, and were even shrouded in fear. The three of them reunited once again, but all three of them were in a sorry state, especially Louis. Although he had once again transformed into his human form, his entire body was charred black, as if he had been burned by fire. There was also a burn scar on his delicate face, making him look somewhat sinister and terrifying. Demon God, that stone statue is too powerful. What should we do? Louis gritted his teeth and asked, his eyes burning with anger. I have only heard of the strength of the four symbols venerable, but I did not know that they were actually so strong, far surpassing my expectations. However, this is also good. The more powerful they are, the more I want to obtain them. The demon god clenched his fists and said in a deep voice. Ichiro Sawada's face was pale as he said fearfully, Master, then what method do we have to obtain those stone statues? I haven't thought of it yet, but as long as we capture that brat Tang Zheng alive, we will definitely be able to find out how he controls the four symbols venerable. If we follow his instructions, we will naturally succeed. At that time, with the four symbols venerable, we will truly be invincible in the world. Whoever resists me, I will let them die. The demon god's face flushed red as he said excitedly. But he has the four symbols venerable, it's too difficult for us to capture him alive. Ichiro Sawada was even a little regretful. Making an enemy out of Tang Zheng was truly courting death. But now that his life was in the hands of the demon god, he had no chance of escaping. He felt bitter in his heart. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have come to Huashia to look for his junior brother, Yamamoto. Now, even his life was going to be lost, it was not worth it. So what if he has the four symbols venerable? As long as we keep an eye on him, there will always be a time when he is alone. Moreover, he can't always hide in the 10,000 huge mountains. As long as he leaves the 10,000 huge mountains, how can a guy as big as the four symbols venerable always accompany him to the city? The demon god said disapprovingly. Louis and Ichiro Sawada's eyes lit up as they agreed, right, as long as he leaves the 10,000 huge mountains, he will not be our match. He will definitely die. So, right now, we have to monitor the witch tribe from afar. We definitely can't let that brat Tang Zheng escape. The demon god said. Don't worry, not even a fly can escape from under our noses. Louis said confidently. What if your face is ruined? The demon god glanced at him and asked. It doesn't matter. As long as I absorb human blood and recover my strength, the wound will naturally heal. Louis said indifferently. Ichiro Sawada trembled all over and subconsciously moved a step away, afraid that Louis would suck his blood. However, he and the demon god were both very curious about the immortal vampires. The demon god went straight to the point and asked, what is the origin of the immortal vampires? Demon god, it is most appropriate for my father to answer you when you go to the Western Empire in the future. There are many things about the immortal vampires that only he knows. Louis said. Alright, after I take care of that brat Tang Zheng this time, I will definitely go to the Western Empire to take a look. The demon god said. The sky gradually brightened, and the 10,000 mountains regained its vitality. Many animals had awakened, and the witch tribe had also become lively. Everyone was woken up by the sound of rumbling footsteps early in the morning, and they all got up and rushed out of the house, thinking that the enemy had launched another attack. But when he looked closely, he saw a stone statue taking large strides in the square. It was majestic, and he could see huge fists and legs moving as fast as lightning. It was as if a giant was practicing martial arts. Every move and style was serious, and the power was extraordinary. If Tian Chanzi was here, he would definitely recognize that this was the move of the Heaven's Luo hand. However, in the hands of the four symbols venerable, the power of the Heaven's Luo hand increased explosively, causing no one to dare underestimate it. Seeing this, the witch clan elder exclaimed in admiration, "Although our witch clan cultivates the primal chaos Varja spell and is born with divine strength, under the attacks of the guardian god, we are like grass, unable to resist at all." That's right, the guardian god is too powerful under the control of the emissary. Yi Yuan agreed. Boom. The four symbols Venerable One stopped, and Tang Zheng jumped down from its body, heaving a sigh of relief. He had been pondering about the four symbols Venerable One since early in the morning, and in the end, when he entered the four symbols Venerable One's body once again, he had a mysterious feeling of two becoming one. With a flash of inspiration, he actually used the Heaven's Luo hand, but he did not expect the four symbols Venerable One to use the exact same technique. Lord Envoy, can the guardian god walk out of the tribe's range? The witch clan elder asked with concern. Tang Zheng nodded his head. Yes, just now, I was connected to the four symbols Venerable One and understood many things. It can indeed walk out of this area, but unfortunately, my cultivation is still weak, so I am unable to control the four guardian gods. For the time being, I can only control one guardian god. However, this is already very powerful. However, if you can control four of them, then Lord Envoy, you will be even more powerful. The witch clan elder said excitedly, Lord Envoy, there's no time to lose. Let's set off for the Forbidden Grounds today. That's what I think too. Tang Zheng nodded his head. After saying that, he saw the archaeological team walking over. His heart skipped a beat as he asked, Professor Qi, what are your plans next? Qi Shuowen glanced at the towering four symbols Venerable One and said regretfully, since we are no longer able to study these four stone statues, then there's no point in us staying here. Let's go back. Tang Zheng, what are you going to do next? I will stay in the 10,000 huge mountains for a while. Tang Zheng said, I will arrange for my clansmen to send you out of the 10,000 huge mountains. Professor Qi, I have hidden a lot of things from you during this archaeology. I am really sorry. Qi Shuowen smiled and said, I'm very satisfied that I've seen so many things that are beyond my imagination in my lifetime. However, the sorcerer tribe has already appeared in this world. It's impossible to hide it any longer. Even with the 100,000 mountains as a cover, it's impossible to hide it from the country's machinery. Tang Zheng was stunned. He already knew that the archaeological team would report the truth to their superiors. Moreover, Lu Ming, who had always been against Tang Zheng, would not help Tang Zheng hide the witch clan. In other words, the witch clan would soon be exposed to the public. Tang Zheng looked around. He looked at the black mass of witch clan clansmen and then at the tall four symbols Venerable One. He said loudly, it's okay. From now on, the witch clan will truly step onto the world stage. The witch clan had been forgotten by the world for so many years. Tang Zheng did not mind letting them reappear in the world's eyes. Although there would be many problems that would follow, Tang Zheng believed that he could solve them. Author's digression. Today is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everyone. Chapter 406. Seeing that Tang Zheng's attitude was firm, Qi Shuowen said in relief, if that's the case, then I have nothing to worry about. We will leave today, and you must be careful as well. Please copy this address to your browser to see the first page. The archaeological team left with a complicated mood. Tang Zheng sent out a group of witch clan clansmen to escort them out of the 10,000 huge mountains. Tang Zheng also set off, but he did not bring too many witch clan warriors, only Yi Yuan followed him. This time, going to the Forbidden Grounds was extremely dangerous. The fewer people there were, the safer it would be. In addition, he had only taken away one of the guardian gods. The other three guardian gods had already been completely activated. As long as someone attacked the witch clan tribe, the guardian gods would immediately counterattack, which was enough to protect the witch clan's safety. The witch clan elders also stayed behind to preside over everything and deal with any dangers that could come at any time. Boom, boom, boom. A guardian god took large strides, directly crossing the high walls of the tribe and walking towards the forest. Tang Zheng was not inside the body of the four symbols Venerable. As long as the four symbols Venerable did not launch any complicated attacks, Tang Zheng could control some simple movements from the outside. Thus, Tang Zheng rode on the heavenly horse, Yi Yuan rode on the good colt, and Xiao Bai stood on Tang Jing's shoulder, following the footsteps of the four symbols venerable as they headed towards the direction of the forbidden grounds. In the middle of the 10,000 huge mountains, the trees were tall and dense. Many of the trees were even hundreds of meters tall. Although the four symbols venerable was a huge monster, it did not seem to stand out among these towering trees. Wherever they passed, all the animals would retreat in all directions. Even the occasional demonic beasts that they saw would flee without a trace, not daring to contend against them at all. The group pressed forward with an indomitable will. There was no one or object that could obstruct their path forward. Even the swamp was not a problem for the four symbols venerable. It stepped into the swamp without any hesitation. The swamp that had swallowed many lives was like a small pond before it. The demon god and the other two had been monitoring their movements the entire time. When they saw this scene from afar, they were all shocked. Their throats were dry, and they became more and more aware of the difference between them and the four symbols venerable. "Where are they going?" Louis asked, puzzled. "They are heading west. Is there something there?" Sawada Ichiro asked suspiciously. The demon god's face was gloomy and uncertain. "No matter what they are up to, we must catch up with them. We can't let that brat Tang Zheng escape our sight." They walked for a few days, eating and sleeping in the open. When they arrived in front of the huge black stone tablet outside the forbidden area, they stopped. Seeing this stone tablet again, Tang Zheng had mixed feelings. The scene when he first came here was still vivid in his mind. This was the first time Yi Yuan had seen the stone tablet. The four bright red words "death to trespassers" were filled with killing intent, and had a kind of soul-stirring magic power. "This is the forbidden area. We've finally arrived." Yi Yuan sighed. "Don't touch this stone tablet, or you will lose your life," Tang Zheng warned. Yi Yuan's heart trembled, his mood became even more serious, but he was also faintly excited. The forbidden grounds that the witch clan had not stepped into for many generations, he finally had the chance to see what was going on. The forbidden grounds are extremely dangerous. Don't go too far away from me later, do you understand? Tang Zheng warned solemnly. "I know, Lord Envoy." Yi Yuan's expression was unprecedentedly serious. In the distance, the demon god and the other two also saw the stone tablet and were dumbstruck. They never thought that there would be such a stone tablet in this vast mountain. Louis and Sawada Ichiro looked at the demon god blankly and asked, "What is this place?" The demon god shook his head and did not say anything. For the time being, he could not tell where this place was, but he could feel a boundless aura spreading out from behind the stone tablet, causing his heart to involuntarily become nervous. "This is definitely not some treasure ground. I feel that there is a lot of danger." Sawada Ichiro shrunk his head, relying on his intuition. He said in a trembling voice, "Even if it's dangerous, we have to go. If they can go, we can still go." Louis said fearlessly. He already hated Tang Zheng to the bones, and would definitely not allow him to escape from under his nose. "Look, they're going in. Let's follow them," the demon god said as he turned into a red light and quickly chased after them. He stopped in front of the stone tablet and looked at it with a burning gaze. "Death to those who trespass," Louis read out. Sawada Ichiro's face was pale, as if he could already feel the aura of death. His face was even uglier than crying. Boom. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the front. It seemed to be the sound of fighting. The three of them trembled and said, "Chase after them, they've met an enemy." Tang Zheng and his group had indeed met an enemy. Demonic beasts, a group of demonic beasts. Tang Zheng clearly remembered that the last time he came to the forbidden grounds, there were not so many demonic beasts. However, this time, there were so many of them that it seemed as if there was no end to them. There were all kinds of demonic beasts in the horde of demonic beasts, and none of them were as weak as the demonic beasts they had met on the way. Every single one of them was emitting a powerful and terrifying aura. "Charge forward, kill." Tang Zheng had already felt a strong killing intent from the group of demonic beasts, and without wasting any time, he immediately gave the order to attack. Boom, boom, boom. The four symbols venerable ones rushed forward with large strides, completely ignoring the attacks of the demonic beasts. The attacks of the demonic beasts were like tickles to the four symbols' venerable ones, and did not harm them at all. Yi Yuan, it's time to test your strength. Tang Zheng shouted loudly. Yi Yuan immediately replied, leaping up, he landed on the group of demonic beasts like a cannonball, and punched a demonic beast in the head. With a loud bang, the demonic beast's head exploded. Ha ha, satisfying. Yi Yuan shouted excitedly, and directly hugged one of the demonic beast's legs, and started to dance in a circle. Bang, bang, bang. A few nearby demonic beasts were swept to the ground. At this moment, Yi Yuan's strength was completely displayed, and his might was extraordinary. However, there were simply too many demonic beasts. When one demonic beast fell, the other one took its place one after another. The corpse of the demonic beasts in Yi Yuan's hands had already exploded, turning into a mess of flesh and blood. Tang Zheng waved his war soul sword, and with every slash, a demonic beast's head would fly into the air. In an instant, the entire area seemed to have turned into hell, as many demonic beasts' corpses fell to the ground, but were trampled into minced meat by the other demonic beasts. With so many demonic beasts, every time they killed a demonic beast's inner core would drop out. However, they did not have the time to collect these demonic beasts' inner cores, because there were simply too many demonic beasts. This battlefield was like an Azura field, and amongst them, the attacks of the four symbols' venerable ones were the most terrifying. Although it was unable to make overly complicated moves, with its huge body, a simple lifting of its leg or sweeping of its arm would cause the demonic beasts to explode into a bloody mist as long as the demonic beasts were hit. Demon God and the other two watched with trepidation. Sawada Ichiro said with lingering fear, "Fortunately, we have them as our vanguard. Otherwise, we would be in deep trouble." Louis looked at the group of demonic beasts and asked suspiciously, "Why are there so many demonic beasts here? What exactly is this place?" This was exactly what the demon god was thinking. When he saw this group of demonic beasts, his expression was extremely solemn. Before the demon race had been banished to the sky beyond heaven, even in the sky beyond heaven, he had fought Yarofeng. However, he had never faced so many demonic beasts at once. This place seemed to have become the lair of the demonic beasts, endless. In addition, the deeper he went into the forbidden area, the stronger the pressure in his heart became. There was even a faint sense of fear, as if there was some powerful existence in front of him that made him feel uneasy. What exactly is in front of us? What is the purpose of Tang Zheng trespassing in this place? The demon god was puzzled, but he had no way to retreat. He could only follow closely behind. Tang Zheng and Yi Yuan killed in all directions, but the number of demonic beasts did not decrease. Instead, it increased, and there were even angry roars from the demonic beasts in the distance, causing the ground to shake, as if there were countless demonic beasts rushing over. Tang Zheng frowned, and thought to himself, "The last time I came here, I also met demonic beasts, but there weren't so many of them. Why are there so many of them this time? What exactly is going on?" Seeing that there were so many demonic beasts that they could not kill with their strength, he decided not to waste his energy. This was because he did not know what dangers there were in the prehistoric heavenly tomb, so he had to preserve his strength. "Yi Yuan, climb onto the guardian god's body. Let's rush over." Tang Zheng shouted, then with a flash of white, the heaven horse carried him and rushed to the feet of the four symbols venerable. The demonic beasts surged forward like a tide. Xiao Bai spat out fire from her small mouth, the flames spread all around, and many demonic beasts died in the sea of fire. The four symbols venerable suddenly bent down and extended his palm, lifting the heaven horse and Tang Zheng into his palm. Yi Yuan also leaped up, following the four symbols venerable's leg and jumping onto its arm. "Let's go, charge forward." The war soul sword in Tang Zheng's hand pointed forward, and the four symbols venerable charged towards the direction of the prehistoric heavenly tomb without a care for its own safety, and the demonic beasts became its stepping stones one after another. Seeing the tall figure disappear into the distance, the demon god and the other two were dumbstruck. They did not expect Tang Zheng and the others to leave just like that. Originally, they wanted to pick up the scraps, but now they realized that they did not have the chance to do so. Tang Zhang and the others had left. If they wanted to catch up, they would have to pass through this huge group of demonic beasts. They had already witnessed the power of the demonic beasts. If they rushed over like this, wouldn't they be courting death? Louis and Sawada Ichiro looked at each other in dismay, speechless. Then, they looked at the demon god at the same time, letting him make a decision. The demon god looked in the direction where the four symbols venerable had disappeared and said resolutely, "Chase." With that, he leaped forward and rushed out. When the group of demonic beasts saw him, they rushed over like a tide. Louis and Tienichiro had bitter expressions on their faces. In the end, they shook their heads and sighed, and had no choice but to rush forward. In an instant, the three of them were surrounded by the demonic beasts, and a fierce battle started again. This battle was even more tragic than before, because they did not have a helper like the four symbols venerable, so in the end, the three of them were already injured. "Let's go through the air." Seeing that he could not break out of the encirclement, the demon god flashed with a red light and rode the bloodblade into the air. "Master, save me!" Sawada Ichiro shouted in panic. The demon god casually pulled him up and flew into the air. Louis also transformed into wings and soared into the air. Whoosh whoosh suddenly, a black mass of shadows flew over from the horizon, and many bird demons pounced on them. The three of them had ashen faces. They did not expect that after dodging the attack from the ground, the attack from the sky would come again. Chapter 407. The demon god and the rest were entangled by the bird demons. There was no way out for them, and the situation was grim. Please copy this address to your browser. The first three people had no other choice but to fight a bloody battle. Tang Zheng and his group finally broke out of the encirclement of the demonic beasts. When they stepped into the prehistoric Heavenly Tombs territory, the demonic beasts all stopped at the same time, and kept roaring at them. Tang Zheng and Yi Yuan jumped down from the four symbols venerable's body, and heaved a sigh of relief. These demonic beasts were truly troublesome, and they had finally gotten rid of them. "Lord Envoy, is this the prehistoric Heavenly Tomb you were talking about?" Yi Yuan looked curiously at the grey sky and the many tombstones in front of him. Although it was broad daylight, the prehistoric Heavenly Tomb was still covered in a grey mist. One could not see far, the gloomy aura was dense, and the cold wind howled angrily, causing one to shudder in fear. Tang Zheng nodded. "Yes, there are many dangers here, you must be careful." As soon as he finished speaking, he heard a furious roar coming from afar. Tang Zheng was shocked, and said, "Let's go and take a look, what's going on?" The two of them quickly rushed towards the direction of the voice. After passing through the tombstones, they arrived in front of a lake. The lake was as black as ink, and the lake water was like ink, emitting a dense cold aura. On the surface of the lake, there was a person who was constantly flashing. Her figure was erratic. She had an iron bow in her hand, and she was constantly pulling the bowstring. The sharp arrows seemed to have grown eyes as they danced and shot out under her control, splashing out streams of blood. Her enemy was a three-headed snake with a single horn on each of its heads. Its entire body was covered in black scales, and each scale was the size of a palm, suffused with a black luster. This was no longer a snake, but a flood dragon, a three-headed flood dragon. The three-headed flood dragon's body sank into the lake, revealing only 3 heads. However, just these 3 heads were enough to cause that person to be in a sorry state. Although she had a bow and arrow in her hand, she did not injure the three-headed flood dragon's foundation. She was already in a sorry state, gasping for breath and sweating profusely. It was obvious that she was on the verge of exhaustion, and her body was covered in wounds. Her outer clothes had already become tattered, revealing her underwear. Her underwear was very unique. It was milky white and tightly wrapped around her body. It set off her exquisite figure incisively and vividly. Li Xiaotian, heavenly silkworm armor. Tang Zheng was shocked. This person was actually Li Xiaotian, and that white underwear was the invulnerable heavenly silkworm armor. Ever since the two of them parted ways in South Yunnan, Li Xiaotian had disappeared without a trace. Who would have thought that he would actually barge into the prehistoric Heavenly Tomb by himself? What was she doing here? Li Xiaotian had already discovered Tang Zheng and his companion. Especially when he saw the giant-like four symbols venerable, he was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. His heart wavered, and in a moment of carelessness, he was knocked into the lake by the three-headed flood dragon. He was battered and exhausted. Tang Zheng, what are you looking at? Hurry up and help me kill this damned monster. Li Xiaotian shouted loudly. Master Hu Shui was on her body, and the heavenly silkworm treasure armor was even more tightly attached to her body. Her graceful figure was completely exposed. Why did you come here? Tang Zheng glanced at her body, and immediately calmed himself down. He was not in a hurry to take action, and instead asked first. This isn't your home, why can't I come? Li Xiaotian said snappily. Is that so? If you don't answer my question honestly, I won't save you. The two of us don't seem to have such a good relationship. Tang Zheng purposely said with a straight face. Tang Zheng, consider yourself ruthless. All right, I'll say it. My heaven-shocking bow was snatched away by you, and I can't beat you, so I can't take back the heaven-shocking bow, so I can only take another risk and come to the prehistoric heavenly tomb to see if there are any other treasures. Li Xiaotian said in a flustered and exasperated manner. She had really suffered a lot this time. Just the horde of demonic beasts outside the prehistoric heavenly tomb had almost caused her to lose her life. In the end, she was lucky enough to escape, but she did not expect to meet this three-headed dragon while searching for treasures. On the verge of death, when she saw Tang Zheng, it was as if she had seen the dawn. You're quite gutsy. Tang Zheng laughed, and with a leap, he rushed towards the three-headed dragon, and with a shua sound, he slashed the three-headed dragon's body, causing blood to spurt out. The three-headed dragon let out a furious roar, and immediately gave up on Li Xiaotian, and bit towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng held the treasure sword in his hand and used the heaven-flying immortal sword technique. Sword light filled the sky, and in the blink of an eye, the three-headed dragon was enveloped in the sword light. The sword light landed on the steel-like scales, causing sparks to fly out, and traces of blood seeped out, dyeing the ink-like lake red. Crash! Suddenly, the sound of water came out, and a huge body rushed out from the lake. A dragon tail rushed out of the water, and directly whipped towards Tang Zheng. Whoosh! Tang Zheng quickly dodged, and the dragon tail whipped on the surface of the lake. With a hong sound, the lake water was directly split into two sides, and the whole picture of the bottom of the lake was revealed. The whole bottom of the lake was pitch black, and it was actually the three-headed dragon's coiled body. No wonder it only used its head to attack, because its body was too huge, and completely occupied the whole lake. Tang Zheng roughly glanced at it, and felt his whole body go cold. This was a super demon beast, and it was very similar to the giant demon beasts in the memory fragments. Seeing that Tang Zheng had dodged the attack, the three-headed dragon vigorously chased after him, and its huge body gradually swam at the bottom of the lake, causing the lake water to tumble, as if it was boiling. The three heads of the three-headed dragon slowly rose into the air, and its round body with a diameter of 3 meters was also revealed. In a short while, the three-headed dragon had risen dozens of meters in the air, but a part of its body was still entrenched at the bottom of the lake. It could be seen how powerful this giant demon beast was. The three-headed dragon opened its 3 big eyes and looked down at the crowd. Its eyes were filled with an ominous glint as it spoke in human language. Humans, all of you must die. With that, its huge body swooped down, and its 3 big mouths opened wide, trying their best to bite towards Tang Zheng, Li Xiaotian, and Yi Yuan. Retreat! Tang Zheng shouted loudly, and the 3 of them retreated at the same time, but the three-headed dragon's speed was very fast. Like a bolt of lightning streaking across the sky, it arrived in front of the 3 of them in an instant. Kill! Tang Zheng shouted, and directly slashed towards the bloody mouth. Li Xiaotian also drew his bow and arrow, while Yi Yuan waved the fist in his hand. Boom! 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 The attacks of the 3 only caused a bit of blood to splash out, but the three-headed dragon still dashed forward to bite it. When Yi Yuan's fist landed on its body, it only lost a few scales, but with a tilt of its head, it actually swallowed Yi Yuan whole. No! Tang Zheng immediately rushed over to save him, but was swept by the three-headed dragon's tail, blocking his path. Tang Zheng took out his heaven-shocking bow and shot out his sword. Puff! A snowflake immediately flew up from the dragon's tail, opening up a bloody hole. The three-headed dragon started to twist and turn in pain, while Tang Zheng took the opportunity to jump onto the head of the three-headed dragon that had swallowed Yi Yuan, and shot an arrow into its neck. Kacha! A huge and sinister head flew in the air, its neck broken. Tang Zheng once again split open the head with his sword, and finally saved Yi Yuan. Yi Yuan's face was pale white, his entire body was covered in sticky liquid. He took a deep breath, and said with lingering fear, "It was too dangerous, I was almost swallowed by it. Fortunately, I'm fine." Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. "I want to kill all of you." The three-headed dragon roared, its huge body curled up, and with a thunderous sound, it directly surrounded Tang Zheng. Then, it quickly shrank, and in an instant, it wrapped Tang Zheng up tightly. Tang Zheng felt a terrifying force pressing down on him from all directions, as if all the bones in his body were about to shatter. Li Xiaotian was so scared that his face turned ashen, and shouted, "Tang Zheng, quickly escape." Tang Zheng clenched his teeth, he could not hold on any longer, and shouted, "Four symbols venerable, do it." Boom! With a loud sound, the four symbols venerable finally took a step forward and stepped into the lake. With a sweep of his arm, the three-headed dragon's body was swept away. The three-headed dragon's entire body trembled, and it couldn't help but let go of Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng escaped, and immediately jumped onto the body of the four symbols venerable, and drilled into its chest. Li Xiaotian watched as Tang Zheng disappeared into the chest of the four symbols venerable, and was dumbstruck. What's going on? Yi Yuan glanced at her complacently, and said, "Next, you should admire the might of the Lord Envoy and the Guardian God." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the four symbols venerable had already clenched his fists, and with a loud boom, he smashed them towards the three-headed dragon. "What is this?" The three-headed dragon turned pale with fright, and immediately swung its tail to welcome the attack. The sound of the collision was like a clap of thunder, causing the ground to shake, and the lake water to stir up huge waves. Li Xiaotian and Yi Yuan stood by the lake and swayed, almost falling to the ground. How could it be so powerful? Li Xiaotian was flabbergasted, he never thought that the power of this attack would have such an effect. The three-headed flood dragon fell back into the lake with a loud boom. The four symbols venerable quickly caught up, grabbing one of its heads and twisting it. The three-headed flood dragon let out a sharp cry, its eyeballs almost popping out of their sockets. No! The three-headed dragon let out a heart-wrenching scream. However, with a poochie sound, a head was directly twisted off by the four symbols venerable. Blood spurted out like a fountain, almost dyeing the entire lake red. Insignificant skill. Tang Zheng's voice came out from the body of the four symbols venerable, filled with killing intent. "I will perish together with you." The three-headed flood dragon roared, and its huge body immediately wrapped around the four symbols venerable's two legs. It quickly coiled around its body, and in the blink of an eye, it was completely wrapped up. A powerful strangling force erupted. Ka. The four symbols venerable's body emitted a series of muffled sounds, as if it was about to fall apart. "Haha, let's see how you're going to fight me." The three-headed dragon let out a complacent and sinister laugh as it pounced towards the head of the four symbols venerable. "Ah, what should we do?" Li Xiaotian screamed in shock. However, Yi Yuan was calm and composed. "Look carefully, the guardian god will be fine, don't make a fuss." Bang bang bang! As if to confirm his judgment, the three-headed dragon's body exploded into a bloody mist, and a terrifying force directly broke its body. The four symbols venerable broke free, and with lightning speed, he grabbed the 7 inches of its only head. With a bang, its head exploded, filling the sky with a bloody mist. The three-headed dragon's corpse fell limply into the lake, but with a flash of light, a huge, sparkling and translucent pearl slowly rose from its corpse. Chapter 408. A Demonic Beast's Core. Tang Zheng stared at the sparkling and translucent pearl and cried out in surprise. Please copy this address to your browser to see this demonic beast's core was not something ordinary demonic beasts could compare to. Even though Tang Zheng was still inside the four symbols honored beast's body, he could still feel the surging power within the core. He hurriedly left the four symbols honored beast's body and leaped into the air, catching the core and jumping to the shore. This is a demonic beast's core. What use does it have? Li Xiaotian curiously moved closer. It's useless to you, but it's very useful to me. Tang Zheng smiled mysteriously. The demonic beast's core contained powerful energy that could help him increase his cultivation. Mph, if you don't want to tell me, then don't tell me. Why are you being so mysterious? Li Xiaotian curled her lips and her gaze quickly locked onto the four symbols honored beast. What exactly is this thing? Why is it so powerful? It only took a few moves to finish off that monster. This is called the four symbols honored beast. It only listens to my orders. Now you know how powerful I am. Tang Zheng said proudly. Li Xiaotian's eyes widened and she cried out in surprise, "It only listens to your orders? How did you do it?" Tang Zheng smiled mysteriously and did not answer her. Li Xiaotian was deeply shocked. She had been in contact with Tang Zheng for quite some time. She had witnessed Tang Zheng's strength step by step, especially after seeing the power of the four symbols honored beast. Her heart was about to jump out of her throat. Tang Zheng has the four symbols honored beast. It's like adding wings to a tiger. Even a martial arts great master might not be able to do anything to him. No wonder after his identity was exposed, he was still fearless and did not panic. Li Xiaotian thought silently and her expression became serious. Weren't you looking for treasure? Did you find it? Tang Zheng broke the silence when he saw that she was silent. At the mention of this, Li Xiaotian couldn't help but get angry. You still have the nerve to ask me? If it weren't for you, would I take the risk to come to this damned place? I almost died just now, and it was all because of you. I just saved you, and you're biting back at your savior so soon? That's too unkind of you, Tang Zheng said with a straight face. Mph, if you give me the heaven-shocking bow, then we'll be even. Li Xiaotian said, unwilling to give up. No way. Tang Zheng did not waste any words with her, and directly rejected her. However, since you have already come to the prehistoric heavenly tomb, then continue searching. Although this place is very dangerous, it is indeed a treasure trove. Who knows, you might be able to find a treasure that suits you. Then don't steal from me anymore. Li Xiaotian said cautiously. Am I such a shameless person? Tang Zheng rolled his eyes. You are. Li Xiaotian said angrily. Hualala. Just as Tang Zheng was about to refute her, he saw the lake water boil, and the ink-like lake water started to churn violently. What's going on? Tang Zheng and the other two were all extremely surprised. The lake water was evaporating at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the clouds in the sky turned black because of the steam. The sky became even darker. Hiss. The last bit of the lake water evaporated, revealing the entire bottom of the lake. Li Xiaotian pointed to a bulge in the middle of the lake and shouted, "Look, what is that?" This was a hemispherical bulge, and the three-headed flood dragon seemed to be occupying it. If not for the four symbols venerable, the three-headed flood dragon would definitely not have left that hemisphere. Tang Zheng's heart moved. He subconsciously thought that it must be something unusual, so he walked over with large strides. With a light tap of his feet, he swept across the mud at the bottom of the lake as if he was walking on flat ground. He stood on top of the hemisphere and stepped on it. It was obvious that it was hollow. There's something down there, Tang Zheng asserted. Jiji. Xiao Bai jumped down from Tang Zheng's shoulder and also jumped up and down on the hemisphere, constantly pointing at the ground. Seeing this, Tang Zheng was even more certain that this hemisphere was not ordinary, so he no longer hesitated and pulled out the war soul sword, and with a catcher, slashed at the hemisphere. Boom! The hemisphere collapsed, revealing an entrance. Below the entrance was a flight of stairs, and below the stairs seemed to be a faint light emitting out. Let's go down and take a look. The three of them walked down the stairs, and the light became brighter and brighter. Suddenly, Xiao Bai jumped down from Tang Zheng's shoulder and quickly jumped down the stairs. Xiao Bai, don't run around. Tang Zheng hurriedly shouted. However, Xiao Bai was abnormally excited, and actually did not listen to his summons, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Hurry up! Tang Zheng was afraid that Xiao Bai would be in danger, and hurriedly chased after him. The stairs were very long, as if there was no end, and no one knew where it led to. Tang Zheng did not know how deep he was from the ground, but it was definitely very deep underground. What could be in such a secretive place? The light in front of them suddenly intensified. It was a red light that dyed the stairs red, giving off a gloomy and terrifying feeling. At the end of the stairs, their eyes suddenly opened up. The three of them subconsciously stopped and stared at the source of the light in a daze. Even though Tang Zheng had a rich imagination and was knowledgeable, he was still shocked by this scene. The source of the red light was actually a heart. The heart was crystal clear, and every blood vessel was clearly visible. Moreover, there was still blood flowing inside. Thump, thump, thump. The heart beat with a strong rhythm, showing the vigorous strength of the heart. This heart was actually alive. Xiao Bai stood directly below the heart, looked up at the heart in a daze, and licked its lips. Tang Zheng was shocked, and suddenly remembered the scene when it swallowed the blood essence of the Beast King. Could it be that it wanted to do the same thing and swallow this heart? Squeak squeak. Xiao Bai looked at Tang Zheng, then pointed at the heart and cried out. Tang Zheng did not understand what it meant, and asked blankly, Xiao Bai, what do you want to do? Seeing that Tang Zheng did not understand its intentions, Xiao Bai was so anxious that it kept jumping up and down, and kept pointing at the heart. Stop fooling around, let's figure out what this thing is first. Tang Zheng said, looking around. This was a stone house with a hemispherical roof, and a mural was carved on the roof. Li Xiaotian also looked up, and said doubtfully, this mural seems to depict a war. Yes, it is a war. Tang Zheng said. Although the lines of the mural were very rough, they could still clearly distinguish the extraordinary strength of the two sides of the battle. On one side, there were many people, and there were also many monsters, and the monsters were very tall, but there was one person on this side that was the most conspicuous. This person seemed to be the leader, and he held a long spear. With a sweep of his spear, a large number of enemies were beheaded, and its power was boundless. The other side was not weak, and there was a group of giants that were very eye-catching. These giants were as big as the monsters. However, the leader of these people was also very dazzling. His whole body was shrouded in light, like a god, and he held a huge sword in his hand, mighty and extraordinary. The two leaders fought fiercely, and it was earth-shattering, as if the world was about to be destroyed by these two people. In the end, the leader with the long spear had his heart cut open by the enemy's sword, and a bright red heart soared into the sky. The battle came to an abrupt end, and the victor was decided. Could the heart that flew into the sky in the mural be the heart in front of us? Li Xiaotian also roughly saw the contents of the mural, and exclaimed. Definitely. Tang Zheng asserted. Many years must have passed since this war. Why is this heart still beating? Also, who are the two sides of this battle? Li Xiaotian asked like a cannonball. If you ask me, who should I ask? Tang Zheng rolled his eyes. Lord Envoy, I feel that there is an indescribable power in this heart. This power seems to be enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. Yi Yuan said after a long silence. Tang Zheng nodded, he also had the same feeling. You're saying that just this heart alone has the power to destroy the heavens and the earth? Li Xiaotian asked in shock. Seeing that the two of them were silent, it was obvious that they had tacitly agreed. She continued, then this heart should not exist in this world. Otherwise, if this world was destroyed by it, wouldn't that be terrible? After so many years, it is still intact. What ability do we have to destroy it? Tang Zheng laughed bitterly. Even the victors of that war were unable to destroy this heart, so what ability did they have to do this? We can't just do nothing. This is a potential threat. Li Xiaotian said. Tang Zheng approached his heart step by step, the veins on his blood vessels becoming clearer and clearer. He reached out his hand to touch it, but Yi Yuan immediately stopped him. Lord Envoy, this thing's origin is unknown, and it's not simple either. It's best not to act rashly. Tang Zheng paused for a moment, then shook his head. Since I've seen it, I can't possibly do nothing and return the way I came. With that, he reached out a finger and touched his heart. The power of the heartbeat bounced off his finger, giving him a strong feeling of power. Nothing happened. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. He had thought that something would happen, so his entire body tensed up, and he activated his innate qi to protect all the acupoints in his body. The other two looked at him nervously. Seeing that it was a false alarm, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. Tang Zheng, on the other hand, extended his fingers and grabbed his heart. Suddenly, a strange change occurred. Blood flowed out from his heart, quickly covering Tang Zheng's palm and spreading along his arm towards his heart. This blood was like a slender little snake, incomparably terrifying. Lord Envoy, it's dangerous. Hurry up and throw it away. Yi Yuan shouted in panic. Tang Zheng quickly threw the heart to the ground, only to discover that the heart was firmly stuck to his palm, as if it had taken root. What's going on? A sense of fear also rose in Tang Zheng's heart. He knew very well that this heart was not a good thing, and since it had mutated, it was probably not a good thing. Lord Envoy, I'll help you. Seeing that, Yi Yuan grabbed onto his heart without caring about his own safety, wanting to tear it off from Tang Zheng's palm. Bang! A surge of rebounding force directly blasted Yi Yuan away, causing him to crash into the stone wall, giving him the illusion that his body was about to fall apart. Li Xiaotian, quickly save Lord Envoy. Yi Yuan did not care about the pain and shouted loudly. Li Xiaotian hesitated for a moment. Just as he was about to make a move, he saw an earth-shattering red light being emitted from his heart, instantly enveloping Tang Zheng. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.